Chapter 181. After getting back into the warm tent, Ryan first hung his cloak on a shelf nearby, then took away the teapot that was originally placed on the stove, and then took out a barbecue rack and placed it on the stove. Immediately afterwards, oil, salt, cumin, pepper and other seasonings appeared on the shelf next to it. Ryan took out another bag of fruit charcoal from his traceless stretch bag, picked out a few pieces, put them in the stove, and then used the ignition spell to ignite them. Sitting comfortably on the chair, Ryan took out the snow tiger meat that he had just dissected. With a slight touch of your finger, the whole piece of snow tiger meat turns into a 1 centimeter thick slice. There was no trace of blood on the whole piece of meat. The blood of this snow tiger had been squeezed clean by Ryan using magic during the decomposition process. Pick up a piece with tongs, place it on the barbecue grill, brush it with a layer of oil, and start grilling. Oh, if only pudding was here. Ryan turned the barbecue over and said with some regret. It is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. After experiencing the service of house elves, Ryan felt that he was increasingly inseparable from pudding's care. After graduating from Hogwarts, the little wizards may even be a little uncomfortable with it. Because when they were in school, their clothes and sheets were washed by house elves, their dormitories were cleaned by house elves, and all their food was cooked by house elves. After graduation, they have to do all this by themselves. Seeing that the meat was almost done, Ryan put it on a plate aside, and then took out a few bottles of dark beer from the non-marking stretch bag. How could you eat barbecue without beer? As soon as the beer was taken out, it began to emit air conditioning. Ryan opened the lid, took a big sip, and let out a very comfortable ha sound. In this world, hiding under the quilt and eating ice cream in winter and eating hot pot in an air-conditioned room in summer will always make people feel inexplicably refreshed. After having enough wine and food, Ryan removed all his things and waved his hand, and all the oil smoke in the air floated outside the tent in an instant. Put the teapot back on the stove, but this time it's not black tea, but green tea. Picking up the magic book that he originally put aside, Ryan sat on the chair and began to read the book silently. He didn't take a sip from the pot of tea until Ryan went to bed. I went to the restroom twice. I just drank too much beer. Regardless of whether it was his previous life or this life, what Ryan liked most was the feeling of being tipsy after drinking. It allowed him to temporarily forget some things, and it also allowed him to temporarily recall some things. The snowstorm seemed to get bigger at night, but Ryan had a magic circle carved on his tent, so no matter how strong the wind was, it was impossible to blow away his tent. The wind howled unabated until Ryan woke up. While brushing his teeth, Ryan looked at the strong wind and rolling snow outside. Ah, what the hell is the weather like? Ryan sat in a chair depressedly and ate 2 slices of bread with jam, and then drank hot milk one mouthful at a time. The weather outside was getting worse and worse, which instantly made Ryan lose the desire to continue on his way. Forget it, it's not work. I'll try to finish reading this book today. Ryan couldn't help but think of the busy figure who came and went in the wind and rain in his previous life, and suddenly felt a little emotional. But he soon woke up from his memories. No matter what happened in his previous life, cherishing the present is the most important thing. Ryan turned his attention to the book in front of him. The complex magic circle inside gave him a headache instantly. Time slowly passed to noon, and Ryan took out the leftover snow tiger meat from yesterday's roast and ate it on the spot. In fact, if you eat too much barbecue, it is not delicious and you will easily get bored. By the afternoon, there was still the last chapter left in the book in Ryan's hand, which was about the arrangement and combination of magic circles. Hey! Stop it! Ryan, who was addicted to reading, suddenly noticed that the snowstorm outside had stopped. He closed the book and walked outside. As soon as he opened the tent door, the calf-level snow poured in instantly, and the cold and biting snowflakes submerged Ryan's feet. Hiss! Ryan, who was a little sluggish because of the warmth, instantly became energetic. I looked at the time, it was already past 4 o'clock. Forget it, let's continue camping here today. It was no longer worth leaving at this point, and Ryan still wanted to finish the book. Ryan opened the tent door to let the air circulate, and the aroma of barbecue that had not dissipated at noon slowly wafted outside at this time. Ryan was standing at the door, breathing the cool air. The cold air penetrated deep into his lungs along his trachea, instantly clearing away the decadence that had accumulated for the whole day. Okay, let's finish it in one go. Ryan looked at the white mountains in the distance, feeling peaceful in his heart. After cheering myself up, I turned around and prepared to go back to reading. At this moment, the early warning circle set up by Ryan was triggered, and a blue light quickly hit Ryan from a distance. Ryan had just turned around, trying to see clearly what was coming, when he suddenly felt a huge force coming from his chest, knocking him to the ground. And that blue light also showed its original figure, a little fox with light blue hair. The little fox sniffed at Ryan, sneezed disdainfully, and then turned into a blue light and appeared on the table where Ryan had lunch. The little fox stood on the table and sniffed, showing a satisfied smile, and narrowed his little eyes. It stuck out its pink little tongue and licked the table. Ryan had already stood up and saw the little fox that bumped into him. "You little guy broke the law by breaking into a private house, do you know that?" Ryan caught the little fox Destiny by the back of his neck, picked it up, looked into its little eyes and said. The little fox was not annoyed when he was picked up, and continued to bark at Ryan twice to please him. "You little thing!" Ryan was amused by the fox's cheekiness, and took out a piece of barbecue from his pocket. The little fox's eyes brightened obviously, and its 4 little paws began to kick around. It was obvious that the barbecue in Ryan's hand was what attracted him. "If you eat my barbecue, you will become my fox." Ryan looked at the little fox and said with a smile. He has identified the fox as an ornamental species unique to Iceland, the ice blue fox. The Ministry of Magic rates it as a Class X magical animal, the most harmless kind. Because of his extremely human nature and beautiful appearance, he is deeply loved by witches. Ryan wanted to give the fox to Hermione. The little fox heard Ryan's words and nodded. When eating out, this is done with a mobile phone. Chapter 182. Seeing that the little fox agreed, Ryan put it down, took out a small plate from his pocket, then tore the barbecue into strips and placed it on the plate. The little fox took 2 bites of meat and barked twice at Ryan's teacup. "Do you want some water, little one?" Ryan was a little dumbfounded. This little fox really didn't regard him as an outsider. After pouring another small dish of water for the little fox barked twice gratefully, and then continued to eat the barbecue. Seeing the little fox eating so much, Ryan suddenly felt that it made sense for such cute creatures to exist in the world. The little fox took 2 bites, then raised his head to look at Ryan. After calling twice, he lowered his head and continued to eat the barbecue. A large piece of barbecue was quickly eaten by the little fox. After drinking all the water in the dish, the little fox lay on his back on the stall with a comfortable face, exposing his belly with white hair. The fur on the ice blue fox's belly is white, the fur on its back is light blue, and its ears are beautiful azure. The little fox stretched and made a comfortable sound, then huddled up into a ball, with its little head hanging on its tail and squinting its eyes, as if it was about to fall asleep. "It's really cute. No wonder those witches are so popular." Ryan touched his chin and murmured to himself, then stood up and prepared to close the tent door. The temperature inside the tent has dropped, and after such a long time, the ventilation is almost there. Pace. Standing at the door, Ryan noticed a small black spot in the distance getting closer and closer. Through induction, Ryan knew that this was Pace, who had just returned from the country. "Cuckoo." Pace stood obediently on Ryan's shoulder and rubbed Ryan's face with his little head. In order to allow Pace to stand, Ryan specially sewed 2 pieces of dragon skin on the shoulders of his clothes. Ryan walked into the tent with Pace on his shoulders. Pace also flew to the table, took out a few letters from his anklet and threw them on the table. Ryan also brought some owl nuts to Pace and asked Pace to eat them by himself while he checked the letters on the table. The first letter was from Hogwarts, which contained books to be used in the next semester. However, Ryan was already on leave from school, so this letter could be ignored. The second letter was sent by Pudding, which stated that the alchemy equipment Ryan sent back was extremely useful. Well, this paragraph only takes up 1/5 of the letter, and the remaining 4/5 are all words of praise. Ryan glanced casually, and he couldn't help but blush a little because he was so shy. However, Ryan still picked up a pen and wrote back a letter, which was regarded as encouragement to Pudding. The third letter was sent by Hermione, complaining that she couldn't use magic at home, which made it impossible for her to make some potions and earn some galleons. The refining of magic medicine also requires the assistance of magic spells, not just the combination of medicinal materials. If it were a simple combination of medicinal materials, Ryan could go to a Muggle machinery factory to find someone to customize the machinery, place it in quantitative quantities, and stir it regularly, so that the backward wizards could see the power of the Industrial Revolution. Unfortunately, the refining of magic potion requires the assistance of magic spells. In his reply, Ryan asked Hermione to go to his forest cabin to get 2 books on wandless spell casting techniques. Since you can't use a wand at home anyway, you can take this opportunity to practice wandless spell casting. The 4th letter was sent by the 3 brothers. It described the recent movements of the major families in the magic world. Among them, the Corey family was the most dynamic and frequently went to war with nearby small families. The Corey family, which had used forbidden magic to increase its strength, was overwhelmingly powerful, and several smaller families had no power to fight back. In the end, it was the Ministry of Magic's mediation that prevented the destruction of several small families. The 5th letter was sent by Kess and Beaver. Their small organization took advantage of the Corey family to attract the attention of the Ministry of Magic and took over a magic mine in a remote place. This magic mine produces magic copper, which is nothing special. It just has a little more magic power than ordinary copper mines, and this magic mine is close to exhaustion. But in the letter, Beaver and Kess were very excited. This was their first step. The last one is the Daily Prophet, whose headlines are still listing Lockhart's deeds. In fact, Lockhart's incident has been in the past for a long time, and it is still reported in newspapers, which shows that there has not been much trouble in the wizarding world recently. The 2nd page reported on the deeds of the Corey family, which boasted that the Corey family was the 29th Holy Family. Well, I wonder how much money the Corey family stuffed. Eventually, Ryan found reports about them based on the location that Kurth wrote in the letter. A few days ago, a magic copper mine owned by the Zinlan family that is about to be depleted was occupied by a group of unknown people. According to the reporter, the Zinlan family seems to have no intention of recovering the magic copper mine. Ryan looked at the newspaper and suddenly felt something extra in his arms. I looked down and saw that it was the little fox that had come to my door. Goo 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 goo. When Pace saw the little fox hiding in Ryan's arms, he jumped up in anger. That was its owner, and now a wild fox who came from nowhere actually wanted to steal the owner from it. Suddenly, a word he heard by chance flashed through Pace's little head, Vixen. In an instant, Pace understood. It turned out that Vixen meant this. I learned it. I learned it. No, now is not the time to think about this. Pace came back to his senses instantly, and the little fox was still in Ryan's arms. The little fox seemed to want to retaliate against Pace for scaring it just now, so it deliberately crawled into Ryan's arms, and then shouted proudly at Pace twice. Cuckoo! Pace was so anxious that he jumped left and right, which made Ryan look amused. Hey, dear, this is Hermione's pet. Please run over and send it over later. After laughing, Ryan still explained. The little fox seemed to have noticed that Ryan had the idea of sending it away, and it quickly called out. Little one, it's not safe to follow me. I'll send you to a lovely person. She will take good care of you. You can eat better food than before. Ryan nodded the little fox's head and said with a smile. The little fox's dark eyes rolled, and his pink tongue licked his lips, seeming to recall the smell of the barbecue just now. The little fox nodded quickly, something even more delicious than before would be so delicious. Snack food. Ryan said with a smile, and then planted a pet spell on the little fox. This is a magic spell used in the wizarding world to bind pets. Otherwise, according to this greedy character, it is estimated that the little fox will run away with others in less than 2 days. Cuckoo! Pace also heard Ryan's words and puffed out his chest, indicating that he had rested and could send the little fox over now. Chapter 183. But in the end, Ryan didn't let Pace send the little fox over, but planned to go to the post office. There is also a post office in the magical world, and living animals can be sent. If you pay a little more, a wizard who is proficient in apparition can even send it there for you. After Ryan finished writing the letter, he didn't ask Pace to deliver it. He planned to go to the Ministry of Magic in Iceland tomorrow, and after collecting the reward for Snow Tiger, he would drop by the post office to mail it. Pace has been flying around every day, so Ryan decided to give him 2 days off. After eating a little something, Ryan sat on the chair and finished reading the last chapter. After using the copying spell to copy down all the contents of the Book of All Laws emitted a burst of light in the little fox's surprised eyes and changed into its original appearance. Ryan picked up the book and put it to his forehead. There was a flash of light and the book disappeared. The little fox looked at all this in shock. Its little paws unconsciously pulled at the nest that Ryan had just built for it. Its sharp beak grew slightly, revealing its pink little tongue. Pace glanced at the little fox with disdain, wondering where this country bumpkin came from. He had never seen the world. As expected, Master Pays was still calm about things. I completely forgot that I was so surprised when I saw it for the first time. After a night's rest, Ryan set out on his way to the Ministry of Magic in Iceland. This time I used apparition to get there. All wizards in Iceland live in one village, which can effectively prevent them from being attacked by snow tigers. The Ministry of Magic of Iceland is located in the center of this village. It is said to be the Ministry of Magic, but in fact it is similar to the village committee. This is the conclusion Ryan came to when standing in front of the Ministry of Magic. The entire Ministry of Magic building looks exactly like an ordinary wizard's house, crooked and crooked. The broken door and narrow windows all reveal the embarrassment of the Icelandic Ministry of Magic. Ryan opened the door and walked in. Tisk, there aren't even 2 people on duty at the door. Ryan muttered, and then saw the internal structure clearly. The first thing I saw was the receptionist. He was a wizard wearing gold-rimmed glasses, a slicked back hairdo, and shiny hair. He looked like he should be a muggle wizard. The reception counter looked a little shabby, and the registration book only had a few pieces of paper. A crystal lamp on the ceiling emits a soft light that shines on the floor, reflecting little bits of light. "Sir, what can I do for you?" The wizard sitting at the front desk stood up and asked formulaically. "Where can I claim Snow Tiger's bounty?" As Ryan spoke, he also took out a fang of a snow tiger and showed it. "Welcome, welcome." The wizard's voice became a little higher. "By the way, my name is El Nandez." Nandez reached out and grabbed Ryan's hand, shaking up and down excitedly. "Forward. As for being so excited, is the life of an Icelandic wizard so difficult?" Ryan was a little confused, and then glanced at Nandez strangely. This guy grabbed his hand just now and is still shaking it now. "That. Ah, yes, there is a reward, right?" Nandez's grip tightened. "Please come with me and I will take you there." Nandez ducked out from behind the counter, but his hand was still holding Ryan's hand. Can you put your hands down?" Ryan spoke with some disgust. If it were a beautiful woman with a curvy front and back, maybe Ryan could hold her for a while. It's a pity that he is not, and he is still a big man. "Ah, sorry. It's just that there haven't been any cases of outside wizards hunting snow tigers for a long time, so it was a bit strange for a while." Nandez let go of his hand and said excitedly. Suddenly, he discovered a blind spot. "Well, I don't think I've seen you apply for entry before. If it's illegal immigration, although we will offer you a reward, we will force you to kill 2 snow tigers before we let you go. But now you've hunted one." Nandez added quickly. "Don't worry, I have the legal procedures." With that said, Ryan hung the International Adventure Association medal on his chest. Under the illumination of the light, the fist-shaped badge reflected the light flickeringly as Ryan moved around. What is this?" Nandez had obviously never seen the International Adventure Association medal, so he was a little curious for a while as to what kind of badge could allow people to avoid being labeled as smugglers. Ryan was silent for a moment. He finally knew what it meant to play the piano to a cow. Badges issued by the International Adventure Association allow you to enter and leave the country directly without applying for entry. Ryan sighed, but still explained to Nandez. "Ah, so it's this. I've always heard of such a badge, but I've never seen it before." Nandez scratched his head, his expression looking a little silly. Ryan looked at the elegantly dressed Nandez with a naive smile, and suddenly felt a little inconsistent. After thinking about it for a long time, I finally attributed it to the wizard's strange temper. "I heard that President Dumbledore issued a badge some time ago. It should be this one, right?" Nandez's voice came, his tone full of envy. "But who wouldn't envy such a badge that represents privilege?" "Ah, Nandez, what are you not doing here?" While Ryan and Nandez were chatting, a very unpleasant voice came in. Ryan looked up and saw a gentle-looking wizard with a slicked back hair and gold-rimmed glasses standing in front of him. I took Mr. Wei to collect the bounty from Snow Tiger." Nandez looked so excited that he couldn't speak clearly. The man in front of him frowned, then pushed up his glasses and said, "Okay, show him the way out, make a cup of coffee and send it to my office, and then just stay at the front desk. You know, leaving without permission duty is not a good habit." "Yes, I understand." Nandez's expression became more and more fanatical. After saying that, the man with glasses left here with elegant steps, without even looking at Ryan the whole time. Ryan suddenly felt unhappy and asked Nandez, who was that person just now? That's Assistant Fernand. He just turned 20 this year and became the assistant to the Minister of Magic. He's really a genius. He is my idol. One day, I want to be like him. Nandez said with admiration, his eyes full of yearning. By the way, you go forward and turn left. The second office is the office where you receive the bounty. Okay, I'm going to make coffee for Assistant Fernand. After saying that, Nandez left here as fast as he could. Ryan looked at Nandez's back and couldn't help but shook his head. If he remembered correctly, it seemed that the Minister of Magic in Iceland also had the last name Fernand. Chapter 184. Ryan ignored the matter between Fernand and Nandez. He was just a passing wizard who would leave after collecting the reward and would not interfere in the internal affairs of the Ministry of Magic. Following Nandez's guidance, Ryan came to a small door. There don't seem to be many people at the Ministry of Magic in Iceland, and I haven't met many people since just now. Ryan knocked on the door, and after more than 10 seconds, the door was opened from the inside. The person who opened the door was a grey-haired old man. Although he looked old, his bright eyes were impressive. Are you here to claim the reward? The old man said somewhat incredulously. Ryan was a little curious as to why everyone in the Ministry of Magic was so excited when they heard that he was here to receive a reward. But he nodded calmly. The old man's eyes turned cold and he pulled Ryan into the office. Here, have a drink of water. The old man poured a cup of tea and placed it in front of Ryan. My name is Carl Sellet. I am the financial secretary of the Ministry of Magic and the leader of the Snow Tiger bounty team. Ryan Zell. Okay, let me give you your bounty first. Sellet took out his wand with a smile and tapped it on the wall behind him. More than 10 gold galleons fell out of the groove on the wall. Sorry, it's a little short, please don't dislike it. Sellet put the galleons on the table and pushed them towards Ryan. There are a total of 18 galleons, please count. Ryan glanced at it casually and knew that the number was not bad. After watching Ryan put away the things, Sellet smiled cheerfully and said, Mr. Zell, do you need us to help you deal with the materials on Suiho's body? While talking, Sellet kept staring at the snow tiger fang in Ryan's hand. With years of experience, he clearly knew that the fang had just been removed from the beast's mouth not long ago, definitely not a week. Ryan thought for a moment, he was a little undecided. Don't worry, our workers are absolutely top-notch in their craftsmanship, and their charges are very reasonable. Sellet said with a smile, the skills of processing snow tiger materials in other places were all learned from here. All right. Ryan nodded. He didn't know how to handle these raw materials. It would be best to have someone ready to help with it now. Sellet smiled even more happily, and wrinkles appeared on his forehead. Okay, please take out the materials. Sellet said to Ryan with a smile, and then pulled a string next to the table. After a while, several bearded men wearing dragon skin coats and dragon skin gloves walked in. Hey, Bogdan, Obi, there is a snow tiger material here that needs your help. Remember to get a discount on the price. A light said to the bearded men in front of him, and then pointed to the materials Ryan placed on the ground. A few bearded men made an okay gesture and then left with their things. If you are worried, you can go and take a look. A light said with a smile. No, I'm very relieved. Ryan said. After all, he is the Ministry of Magic of a country, so he is not so shameless. I'm just curious, why? Why are you all so enthusiastic, right? A light looked at Ryan, already guessing his doubts. Although the International Association of Wizards comes to help clean up every year, it is obvious that they are wizards from other countries and will not give the Icelandic magic community a chance to develop, so they only hunt 1 or 2 every time they come here to complete the task. But for the huge population of snow tigers, 1 or 2 will not have any impact at all. Moreover, the ones they hunt are all old snow tigers, and they will not hunt them at all in their adult state. Sellet said, and hammered the table angrily, as if he was dissatisfied with the wizards sent by the International Wizards Association to work hard. Furthermore, the snow tiger is rated as a XXXXX level magical animal, which is inherently dangerous. In a snowstorm, its power is even more powerful. In addition, the materials on the snow tiger can be replaced, so over time, there will not be many wizards. I'm willing to hunt the snow tiger. All sighed, seeming to be lamenting the fate of the Ministry of Magic in Iceland. The young magicians in Iceland are happy to live in places like the United States, and our strength is getting smaller and smaller. If this continues, the Ministry of Magic of Iceland will probably become a vassal of the Ministry of Magic of other countries. Reen lowered his head, thinking about his own affairs. It turns out that I am already so strong. The snow tiger, which was difficult for ordinary wizards to hunt, could now be easily hunted by Ryan. Olite watched Ryan lower his head and said nothing. He picked up the newspaper on the table and continued reading. As for the issue of illegal entry, he was not blind, and he could still see such a big International Adventure Association badge. In addition, Dumbledore had issued a new badge before, and I knew with my feet that the wizard in front of me was related to Dumbledore. The office fell into silence, but soon became lively again. The bearded men who had just taken away the materials now opened the door again and walked in. After putting the things away, he put a note on Olite's desk and left again. He didn't say a word during the whole process, perfectly explaining what a tool man is. Okay, here's the list. Take a look at it and pay the money. After Olite read the note, he handed it to Ryan. Ryan took it and began to check the things on the ground one by one according to the instructions on the note. After all, this is your own thing, no matter how careful you are, you can't be too careful. However, even if Ryan looked at these processed materials with the most critical eyes, he could only say perfect. Looking at the price again, it's 50 galleons. Good guy, not only did I not earn a bounty this time, but I also had to pick up something. However, Ryan paid the money decisively, then took the things and left. Galleons are easy to earn, but craftsmen with such good skills are hard to find. Seeing Ryan pay the money so readily, Olite laughed happily. Ryan collected all the things, then said hello to Olite, and left the Ministry of Magic of Iceland. When he walked to the front desk, Ryan also asked Nandez where the post office was. Looking at the post office in front of him and the surrounding houses, Ryan felt that the Ministry of Magic in Iceland was indeed quite pitiful. After all, the Ministry of Magic in this country did not have the magnificence of a post office. This post office was not set up by the Ministry of Magic, but by a post office company. As soon as Ryan walked in, a staff member wearing grey overalls came over. Hello, do you need any help? Send a letter and handle the transportation of the living body. The staff's eyes lit up. Living animal transportation is a big business. Yellow warning for thunderstorms and strong winds, orange warning for heavy rain. It was windy, rainy, lightning and thundering outside, and there was a power outage at home. It was raining, it was hot and sleepless. Oh, it's uncomfortably tight. I went to bed and my phone ran out of battery. Chapter 185. After sending the little fox and the letter together, Ryan went to the street outside to replenish supplies, and then carried a bottle of good wine to the residence of the master Andra had visited before. But the master was not at home. I heard from neighbors that the old gentleman was away from home for more than half of the year. Ryan didn't care either, or in other words, this situation satisfied him. After all, he doesn't really like Egyptian culture. He came here to visit just as a show to prevent others from suspecting him. And Ryan also wanted to find out about the cave from him. No one came to visit, and Ryan was not discouraged. He planned to walk back along the path Andra came from to see if he could encounter the cave. Hell, why didn't Andra take the main road when he came? He had to climb the mountain here. Ryan walked hard up the mountain in the snowstorm and said something depressed. But as soon as he opened his mouth, countless snowflakes were poured into his mouth. After spitting out the snowflakes in his mouth, Ryan decided to find a place to settle down and wait for the weather to be better before leaving. Not long after, Ryan found a camping spot left by his predecessors. However, there was no one here at this time, so Ryan took over without politeness. Throw the tent out and it will start to set up automatically. Ryan, on the other hand, placed some warning spells around him. He didn't want to fight with Shwehu again. It's not that it can't be beaten, but it's not necessary. Entering the warm tent, Ryan breathed a sigh of relief. First, he made a pot of tea, and then took out the materials he was working on at the Ministry of Magic today. Snow Tiger's blood was divided into two parts, one half was made into ink that could be used to draw runes, and the other half was made into blood pills that could be used as medicine at any time. The tiger skin is then tanned and can later be made into leather armor or a scroll with runes drawn on it. The tiger bones can simply be extended with magic power to shorten the shelf life. The tiger meat is marinated with salt for Ryan to make it more flavorful. But these are all small heads, and the big head is still the same good thing. Ryan took out a black earthen jar with a seal on it that said it could only be opened for drinking after 30 days. Although he didn't know why Westerners had the habit of brewing medicinal wine, Ryan still put it away. Good things, even if you don't use them, you can always sell them for money. After putting all the things away, Ryan took out his book of all laws, but he was thinking about what kind of book he should change into. In such a long time, Ryan has read a lot of books. After thinking for a long time, Ryan closed the book and put it into his mind again. No shit, I have a day off today. After saying that, Ryan lay down comfortably. Once I lay down, I stayed there until 9 o'clock in the evening. But this is Iceland, and the sun is still high in the sky at this time. After a simple dinner, Ryan sat on a chair in high spirits, staring eye to eye with Pace. A little bored, Ryan began to miss the mobile phone in his previous life. It was really possible to know everything about the world just by lying on the bed. As expected, let's read a book. Ryan took out a novel book from his pocket. Before the trip started, he deliberately selected many interesting books from his library. For 2 hours, Ryan forced himself to stay in bed in case he felt sluggish the next day. In the next few days, Ryan kept searching for the location of the cave on the mountains. But unexpectedly, Ryan walked the path Andra took and failed to find the cave. Pace has been huddled on Ryan's shoulder these days, following Ryan in search of the elusive cave on the vast snow-capped mountains. After searching for a week, Ryan gave up with red eyes. He was almost combing through the snow-capped mountains, but he just couldn't find the cave. If Andra hadn't had photos and didn't have photoshopped them at the moment, Ryan would have felt that Andra was lying to him. Ryan, who had completely given up, was now free, and he began to search for magic materials that could be used on the snow-capped mountains. This kind of Dobeo-like journey made Ryan feel fresh. Pace couldn't stand this kind of life 2 days ago, so he returned to the country on the pretext of delivering newspapers to Ryan. Ryan guessed that this little thing must have stayed at the plantation when he returned, because pudding would make owl rations for him. Hermione only feeds him nuts, so he prefers staying at the plantation to the Grangers. After completely putting down his burdens, Ryan felt that this snow-capped mountain became particularly beautiful, no longer the same monotonous appearance as before. Ryan wandered casually on the snow-capped mountains, and soon he discovered an herb with magical reactions in his magic vision. Methyweed. This herb can numb people's nerves and make people feel like they are in the polar regions for 2 or 3 hours. Even if you are next to the fire, you will feel extremely cold. Within 2 or 3 hours, the poisoned person will do everything possible to keep himself warm. There was even a wizard who lit his robe on fire with a blazing flame in order to make himself feel better. However, this grass can be used to prepare flame protection potions, and the user can make the flames retreat. What's more, there are rumors that this herb can extinguish the calendar fire, but no one has tested it, so the truth is unknown. Wearing dragon leather gloves, Ryan happily took the Mythi grass into his bag and carefully placed it on the land he had carved out in his seamless stretch bag. In order to perfectly simulate the growth environment of various herbs, Ryan also specially transformed the Book of 10,000 Methods into a book called Transforming the Land, Let You Grow Thousands of Plants at Home. It introduces many techniques to make a piece of land simulate the environment required for the growth of herbs as closely as possible. The most powerful among them is the Environment Control Array. This magic circle can change the environment within the circle according to the user's wishes. After Ryan's modification, this magic circle can control the environment piece by piece. In this way, Ryan can make it rain in this field, while the field next to it is still sunny. So I still have to find time to go back to the plantation. From now on, the plantation will no longer grow herbs for sale. I will plant a little of each herb. Ryan stood up, covered the holes in the ground with snow, and continued to trek further away. However, after walking a certain distance, Ryan saw a group of hikers carrying backpacks. The group of travelers also saw Ryan and waved to him. "Hey, where's your tent? Did it get lost in the previous snowstorm?" The leader looked at Ryan without any equipment and asked curiously. Ryan also realized the problem. He was clean and tidy, and he didn't look like a person climbing on a snow-capped mountain at all. But this is no wonder for Ryan. Who would be willing to carry such a heavy luggage when they have a traceless stretch bag? Chapter 186. Ryan looked at the group of explorers in front of him and nodded silently. In fact, if they were ordinary wizards at this moment, they would have simply forgotten everything and modified their memories, and then left gracefully. However, Ryan did not do this, but wanted to see what this team would do. "Ha ha ha, don't worry, we are about to go down to the snow-capped mountains. You can come with us." The leader became cheerful, walked over and patted Ryan on the shoulder. Ryan looked at the reactions of the rest of the team, and no one had any objections. It seems that the team leader has a lot of say in the team. Ryan thought silently. Okay, let's put on the coat first. I keep this as a spare and only wear it once. The leader took out a warm-looking coat from his backpack and threw it on Ryan. Ryan looked at the simple magic robe on his body, was silent for a moment, and put it on. Before, Ryan always thought that he was just a muggle with magical powers, but he never thought that there was such a big gap between himself and the real muggle. Watching Ryan put on his clothes, the team leader laughed twice, and then greeted the people behind him, "Let's walk faster, we will reach the next resting point in about half an hour, let's say hello then." Everyone nodded and followed the leader without saying a word. Ryan was placed in the middle of the team. In front of him was a young man with blonde hair. His exact appearance was unknown because he was wearing goggles. Behind him was a woman with brown hair. When Ryan came over, she gave him sunglasses. Ryan removed the magic vision. This place is already considered a muggle activity area. It can be said that the traces of magic materials and magical animals have been cut off. There is no need to continue to waste magic power to maintain the magic vision. There was no words all the way until they reached a flat ground. The leader waved his arms to everyone, and everyone suddenly sat down one by one like a deflated ball. "Hello, my name is Friend Ally." The blonde man in front of Ryan turned around and said hello to him. "Ryan Zell." Ryan also said his name, and the two shook hands, and they were considered acquainted. Then, everyone else in the team came over and said hello to Ryan. At this time, Ryan also made up a story about people living in the snow-capped mountains. The woman following Ryan was named Mina Off, the leader was Ben Brown, and he also had a partner, a led Stephen. One of the two walked in the front, and the other walked in the back. This mountaineering team is actually a tourism experience project. Except for Brown and Stephen, the rest are tourists. After resting for a while, everyone began to set up tents. "Zell, my tent is quite big. You can sleep in the same tent with me today," Stephen said with a smile. Ryan nodded and walked over to help set up the tent. But soon Ryan became numb and didn't know what to do. "Don't you just throw the tent out and set it up yourself?" Seeing Ryan's embarrassment, Stephen just smiled and didn't care. "This tent of mine is a customized high-end product, and its construction requires a certain amount of skills. You will definitely not be able to set it up on your first try. Okay, Zell, help me hammer these nails into the ground." Stephen took out a few large nails and handed them to Ryan. And he himself was quickly tinkering with various parts, and soon a tent had what it should look like. Everyone was busy for a while and quickly completed setting up the tent. Then Brown took out a portable gas stove and cooked a bowl of hot soup for everyone. Stephen gave Ryan 2 pieces of compressed biscuits. After dinner, everyone had no intention of sleeping and started talking to each other. Ryan didn't say much, he just sat among the people and listened to their conversation. Through their conversations, Ryan knew that Brown, the team leader, had a perfect family, while Stephen was divorced 2 years ago. The handsome blonde boy Ai Lee is a college student from a bad country, and there are 2 other girls who came after Ai Lee. From Ryan's point of view, these 2 girls were both pretty, but the strange thing was that Eli ignored them. But Ryan didn't ask stupidly. It seemed that others didn't want to say anything, and asking would only make them annoying. After chatting for a while, everyone felt sleepy. "Today I walked on a mountain road for a day. When have the flowers in these greenhouses experienced this? If it weren't for the novelty of climbing snow-capped mountains, people would have started complaining long ago." Ryan walked to Stephen's tent, lifted the tent curtain, and was stunned for a moment when he saw the small and enclosed space inside. But he soon realized that this was not a magic tent. Sighing inwardly, Ryan walked in. Stephen prepared a sleeping bag for Ryan early. "These are all spares, just in case someone's things get damaged or lost, and to have a replacement. After all, these people are their sponsors and must be taken care of." After Ryan lay down in the sleeping bag, Stephen came in and lay down too. "Brown will stay for half the night, and I will stay for the rest of the night. Now, boy, go to bed quickly." After Stephen finished speaking, he snored loudly. To be honest, Ryan was really envious of the ability to fall asleep in seconds, but if the cost was such loud snoring, Nan thought it would be better to forget it. After quietly casting a soundproof spell on himself, the annoying snoring disappeared from Ryan's ears. Slowly breathing a sigh of relief, Ryan also fell into sleep. Early the next morning, Ryan was woken up by Stephen. "Okay, kid, let's leave early today. If we're lucky, we can have a delicious lunch at the foot of the mountain at noon." Ryan came out of the tent, and everyone was already dismantling the tent. As if they knew that they could reach the foot of the mountain in half a day, they began to talk and laugh. Brown also had a smile on his face. He still had half a day to earn the money. After packing up, everyone couldn't wait to set off. At almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they arrived at the small town at the foot of the mountain. "Okay, kid, come on over here. If you need help, you can check out the police station in the center of town." Stephen patted Ryan on the shoulder, then ran to Brown to share the money. Ryan looked at Stephen's back, hooked his fingers slightly, and an inexplicable wave penetrated into the bodies of Stephen and Brown. Disease removal. This spell can remove diseases from the human body, so it can be regarded as a thank you gift from Ryan to them. Chapter 187. After Ryan released the spell on Brown and Stephen, he turned around and left here. He needed to buy some special products to stop Hermione's mouth, otherwise the little girl would whisper in his ears for a long time next time he met. This is a small town that developed due to tourism. The streets are full of people with different skin and hair colors, speaking with different accents. Both sides of the street are lined with shops selling local delicacies and local specialties. There were also hotels, and Ryan also saw 1 or 2 shops selling camping equipment. It can be said that this town does not have any industry, and all supplies rely on external transportation. Ryan bought a crystal ball with snowflakes floating on it, and a few bracelets made of white stones. The merchant said that these were stones collected from the top of the snowy mountain, which represented purity and aloofness. Of course, this is definitely a lie. Because Ryan had been to the top of the mountain but didn't find any white stones. "I had a bowl of lobster soup at a nearby store. The store came with a few pieces of bread for dipping in the soup. Ryan tasted it and found that it tasted pretty good, but the portion was a little small. So Ryan ordered another lamb soup and smoked puffin. The mutton soup is stewed with local mutton, potatoes, carrots, and other vegetables. The puffin meat tastes similar to beef liver and has a good taste." After eating this lunch, Ryan's stomach was full. The final checkout showed that Reen's meal cost a total of about 5,000 Icelandic kronor, which is almost 30 pounds. Converted to 6 galleons. Ryan kept smashing his mouth. "You should know that an ounce of dragon liver is only 1 galleon. That's it. He's not too full yet. It's too expensive, but that's normal. Things in scenic spots are not expensive, but where are they?" Walking outside, Ryan looked at the colorful world and suddenly felt a sense of alienation. It was as if he was in another time and space, overlooking the world. "Sorry, please give way." A voice sounded from behind Ryan. Ryan looked back and realized that he had blocked the store door. "Feel sorry." Reen said something, nodded to the man, and left here. This is the world of Muggles. When he stepped into Station 9 3/4, the barrier between him and the Muggle world had already arisen. Walking to a deserted corner, Ryan disappeared with a wave of his hand. A gust of wind blew over, blowing up the leaflets of a certain store scattered on the ground. On top of the snow-capped mountains, Ryan's figure suddenly appeared. Several more rats that were hunting in the distance instantly burrowed into the ground, and the last one carefully swept the snow with its tail, hiding its traces. Ryan glanced at a few little guys and ignored them. After identifying the direction, Ryan picked up his legs and walked forward. This is a new mountain range, and Ryan plans to search this snowy mountain for 2 days before leaving Iceland. This snow-capped mountain is very steep, with 70-degree slopes everywhere. Some people are happy and some are worried about this kind of place. The happy thing is that few people come here, so there is a high probability that there will be good things. The sad thing is that few people come here, which proves that it is not easy to get here. But this is nothing to Ryan. An adsorption technique can steadily allow Ryan to walk on flat ground on the steep rock wall. Otherwise, Ryan can also use flash to go up directly. As for apparating, that's not necessary. Using apparition at a short distance is tantamount to using an anti-aircraft cannon to kill mosquitoes. However, killing mosquitoes with anti-aircraft guns is also a technical job, and not everyone can do it. While running wildly on the rock wall, Ryan turned on his magic perception. Soon, a magic stone appeared in Ryan's perception. This is a stone impregnated with magic power. Generally speaking, it is an associated mineral of the magic crystal mineral vein. Ryan was silent as he looked at the throat-sized stone in his hand that exuded strong magic waves. Earth sense. Ryan leaned down and put his hand on the ground, carefully feeling the mineral deposits underneath. Soon, Ryan's mind touched the first magic crystal, then the second, and the third. The further down you go, the more crystals you get, and even to the end of Ryan's perception range, crystals have appeared in piles. Gigi, there is no one to mine such a rich mine. Ryan touched his chin and suddenly felt that there was something fishy about it. With such a large mineral deposit, there is absolutely no problem in supporting 3 pure-blood families. But, in the next second, Ryan knew why there were no wizards here to develop it. In Ryan's magic perception, more than 30 creatures with magic reactions suddenly appeared and were speeding towards this direction. Trap placement. Ryan placed dozens of random traps in the direction of the pile of creatures in one breath. There was no way Ryan would just give up on such a great opportunity. But it turns out that Ryan still thought of things too simply. During his magic perception, Ryan found that more than 30 creatures with magic reactions broke in behind him. Damn it, are you kidding me? Ryan felt a little numb. Did he do anything to blame others? Why did so many magical animals suddenly come? Soon, these unknown magical animals appeared. This creature has a wolf-like appearance, but the purple crystal on its forehead already shows that this is no ordinary wild wolf. Crystal wolves, named for the crystal on their foreheads, usually live in areas rich in magic. The food is mainly magic, and other creatures are not usually hunted. In other words, as long as they have magic power, there will be no problem even if these crystal wolves don't eat or drink. They are treating me as an intruder trying to steal food. Ryan looked at the crystal wolf in front of him, grinning at him, and said with a smile. But he was originally here to grab the magic crystal. Earth travel. Ryan cast a spell on himself, and his whole body disappeared in front of the wolves instantly like a drop of water melting into the sea. Ryan didn't believe that no one was watching here. Such a large mineral vein must have been watched by many hungry wolves for a long time, but the numerous crystal wolves on the mountain range made them give up the idea. After all, if you want to stabilize mining, you must clean up these crystal wolves. To clean up the crystal wolf, a certain amount of force must be mobilized. There are fewer people coming, and they are delivering food to crystal wolf. With so many coming, do other industries need to be protected? So everyone is waiting to see who can eat the crab first. Maybe, you can also buy one and get one free. Buy a magic crystal mine and get a magic family as a gift. So Reen sank directly into the ground, and then pocketed the crystals one by one. Although it is cumbersome, it saves subsequent trouble. The crystal wolf on the mountain range sensed that the magic crystals in the underground veins were rapidly decreasing, and immediately began to howl. This is a signal to call for companions. Chapter 188. After howling, the 2 groups of crystal wolves began to dig up the soil where Ryan had just stood. Although the crystal wolves are powerful and numerous, they do not have the wisdom of humans. They watched Ryan burrow into the soil, which was probably similar to the burrow of the Mora rat, and could be dug out with a digger. After a while, several wolf howls were heard in the distance, and the wolves here also stopped digging in the soil and began to howl toward the sky. After the wolves communicated with each other for a while, they reunited. Almost 200 crystal wolves stood on the top of this mountain, howled into the sky, and then began to dig up the soil. The huge howl of wolves alerted the surrounding wizards responsible for surveillance. The wizard suddenly realized that the gathering of crystal wolves on the mountain must be to resist foreign invaders. Only in this way can the originally hostile wolves unite. The wizard immediately sent a signal to his family without even thinking about it. The family was not suspicious and immediately led 15 wizards to the scene. These are all wizards who can disapparate. As for those who can't, they need to come through the portkayat, which will take a while. Kerr and the others will be here in a moment. Let's go up first. Audra, how is the situation up there? A wizard wearing a gorgeous wizard robe and with a noble aura asked the wizard who sent out the signal flare. Clan leader, I haven't gone up to take a look yet, but the crystal wolves have gathered and they issued a joint statement just now. Audra bowed her waist and smiled apologetically. The so-called joint statement is actually the last howl of the crystal wolves. Only after howling together again, touching a joint statement, can they attack each other. Before that, wolves that attack each other will be permanently expelled from the pack, and the crystals on their foreheads will change from purple to red. Okay, Audra, I'll take credit for you this time. Audra laughed happily after hearing her team leader's words. His son's qualifications are not good, so he wants to save more resources for his son. But Audra knew that if the family could capture this magic crystal mine this time, the reward would be huge. Maybe I can even win 2 magic crystals. When Audra was adventuring in her early years, she and several companions entered a ruins and found many good things inside. But the really good things were all occupied by a few powerful wizards, and he was only assigned a trash can in the ruins. However, in this trash can, he found a paper that shocked the entire magical world. On the possibility of using magic power to flush the body to change magical qualifications. That was the title of that parchment. Specifically, it flushes the body with huge amounts of magic power, improves the affinity between the body and magic power, and at the same time expands the magic power circuits in the body, thus allowing the user to improve their qualifications in disguise. The main material is this magic crystal. Its magic power is huge and gentle, making it irreplaceable. Over the years, Audra has basically confirmed the correctness of this paper. So after discovering this mineral vein, he also took the initiative to invite Ying to be an observer here. You know, this is not a good place. Not to mention the harsh environment, the crystal wolves that appear at any time are enough to scare a wizard. The patriarch looked at Audra, who was in joy, with a trace of disgust in his eyes. This Mr. Audra, like his son, has poor talent. So far, he can only cast some family magic, and he can't even use the disarming spell. It would not be a waste to use resources on such people. The clan leader thought so, but didn't show it on the surface. He waved to the wizards behind him and motioned for them to follow him up the mountain. Without saying a word, the wizards followed the family leader up the mountain. The occasional wind blew the black cloak behind the wizard, awakening Audra from her fantasy. Looking at the retreating patriarch's back, Audra gritted her teeth and followed. He suddenly felt that his mere guarding work might not be enough to get the reward of the magic crystal, so he followed, hoping to get some credit in the process of occupying the mine. Not only this family, but other families also received replies from their respective family observers, and they all brought people to the foot of the mountain. Some families did not send people to stare at the snow-capped mountains, but instead watched a few families who were staring at the snow-capped mountains. Seeing them move, these families also moved. When the small families saw these big families moving, they also started moving themselves. After all, your big family eats meat, and our small family also needs to drink soup, right? At one time, more than 100 wizards gathered at the foot of the mountain, and this number continued to rise. You know, this is a wizard who uses apparition. It can be said responsibly that 1/10 of the combat power of today's magic world has been gathered here. Audra failed to catch up with her clan leader after all, and sat on the mountainside with some annoyance. Oh, apparition, I'm so envious. Audra looked up at the grey sky and said with some disappointment. Suddenly, a wolf howl came from the mountain, and Audra knew that the war had begun. At this time, Ryan was grinning from ear to ear. What did he see? The source of magic. Ryan immediately put several drops of magic eye drops on himself, and then wiped his eyes carefully. But the source of magic still exists. It's developed. After the last exploration of the ruins, Ryan had the idea of building a floating city. Design drawings can be transformed using the Book of All Laws, but materials cannot be transformed. The first thing to bear the brunt is energy. This is a dead issue. Without energy, what he built is just a pile of scrap metal. Originally, Ryan planned to rob several pure-blood families, collect magic crystals, build a small battleship, and then go into the stars to plunder the materials to snowball. But now that there is a source of magic power, it's different. The source of magic power, as the name suggests, is the source of magic power. It can absorb void energy and convert it into magic power. Without thinking, Ryan took out a dark box from his pocket, solemnly put the source of magic power into it, and then released all the sealing magic he knew into it in one breath. Just as Ryan took away the source of magic power, the crystal wolves on the ground suddenly let out a fierce howl toward the sky, and then launched a suicide attack on the wizard in front of them. Retreat, retreat quickly. Let's go too. Send a signal quickly to tell the family not to send any more people over. Damn it, why are you crazy? After the chief of Audra went up the mountain, the other families also went up the mountain. At this time, they all suffered. The crystal wolf didn't care which family you belonged to. They only knew that the magical aura that permeated this mountain range was suddenly reduced by half. Chapter 189. After taking away the source of magic power, Ryan also collected a lot of magic crystals close to the surface, but deeper inside, Ryan did not touch any of them. First, nearly 2,000 magic crystals have been accounted for this time, so there is no need for more. The second is to keep a line in life so that we can meet each other easily in the future. If Ryan really takes away all the magic crystals, maybe these crystal wolves on the ground will prey on other animals the next day due to lack of magic nourishment. But it is obvious that the creatures on this snow-capped mountain island are simply not enough to support such a large pack of wolves. So in order to survive, the wolves in this snowy mountain will fall into cannibalism after eating all the creatures. But it wouldn't be a problem if Ryan stayed a little. Some of the wolves could absorb magic power to maintain their lives, and the other part could hunt to maintain their lives. Looking at the crystals in his pocket, Ryan nodded with satisfaction, then found a certain direction and swam forward. At this time Audra was being scolded by his clan leader. "Didn't you say there were people on the mountain? Why is there no one there?" I don't know. I informed the family when I heard the wolf howling." Audra felt a little wronged. As soon as he heard the wolf howling, he hurriedly passed the news to his family, hoping to make a contribution. But now there is no credit, and it seems that he will still have to suffer. "Okay, don't talk anymore. From today on, you and your son will move out." The patriarch glanced at the team with only 11 wizards left behind him, and everyone was injured, and his heart was bleeding. This was a wizard who could use apparition, the mainstay of the family, and 4 of them were lost in vain, which made the patriarch so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe. Snort! With a cold snort, the patriarch resisted the urge to cast a spell on Audra. After all, Audra was still a member of the family at this time. Only after they go back and inform the clan members and complete the formalities with the clan elders can they be considered completely separated from the clan. Audra collapsed to the ground in despair, her eyes blank. He and his son's biggest support was gone. With their qualifications, they could only be at the bottom of the magic world. Ryan was hiding underground, sensing a corpse above his head, and couldn't help but feel overjoyed. Although he didn't know what happened above, it was obvious that nothing on the wizard's body had been touched. Of course, Ryan also carefully checked whether there was any backhand left on the body. What puzzled Ryan was that there was no backup plan. The entire corpse had nothing but marks from the wolf's teeth and burns caused by a few magic spells. Since there is no backup, you can search boldly with confidence. On top of the towering snow-capped mountains, several corpses suddenly appeared in this holy place. Several crystal wolves were taking steps next to them, looking around. Suddenly, the ground under one of the corpses produced water-like ripples. The corpse was like a piece of paper on the water, sinking into the water after being filled with water. At this time, Ryan opened a cave underground, and the body was also in this cave. He looked at the corpse in front of him, smiled evilly, and began to move his hands up and down. After a while, Ryan made a disdainful thumb sound. "Poor guy." After saying that, the body in front of Ryan sank into the soil. After a while, the next body fell. But after Ryan checked the pockets of all the corpses, he became somewhat silent. "It's so poor. We have magic props and potions, but no other materials. The magic props are all offensive and defensive, while the potions are mainly magic restoration potions, followed by healing potions, and the least is mental restoration potions. As for the others, Ryan didn't find a single bottle. Maybe I was afraid that if I died, the things wouldn't be passed on to future generations, so I left them all at home before coming here." Ryan guessed again and again, and felt that this was the most likely possibility. Otherwise, how could it be possible that these wizards had nothing on them except combat supplies? After burying all the corpses and disposing of the wolf corpses, Ryan left the snow-capped mountain. Audra sat on the ground and looked at the wizard who suddenly appeared in front of her. She suddenly held the wand in her hand and raised it towards Ryan. Ryan glanced at Audra. He didn't even want to look at such a small character. With just a wave of her hand, the wand in Audra's hand flew out and landed on the snow not far away. Audra looked at the wizard in front of her and felt even sadder. Could a wizard who could cast spells silently and without a wand be an ordinary wizard? And if he actually raised his wand to such a great wizard, there would be only one outcome: death. Although there are politicians like Lucius here, most of them are rough guys who only know their fists. After all, this is a transcendent realm, and even politicians are based on strength. "Okay, I'm happy today, you can go," Ryan said casually, not paying attention to Audra's actions just now. Audra didn't expect that she would be let go, and she sat on the ground in a daze. But he reacted quickly, crawled to his wand on both hands and feet, and picked it up. Thank you, thank you. Audra bowed and thanked her. Ryan waved his hand to show that he didn't mind, then walked away with his legs. Audra looked at Ryan's back, gritted her teeth, and chased after him. Not getting the magic crystal this time means that his son's qualifications cannot be changed, which means that his son will become a waste like him in the future. When she thought about how her son would grovel in front of others in the future, Audra felt that it was nothing to be aggrieved. Sir, please wait a moment. Audra's voice sounded behind Ryan, causing him to stop. Ryan turned around, looked at Audra, and said with an unpleasant expression, Is there anything else? Sir, I would like to ask you to help me identify something. It is a paper I obtained in a ruins. Audra said, taking out the parchment obtained from the ruins and handing it to Ryan. Ryan raised his brows, suddenly feeling something interesting, so he didn't refuse and took it over. Ryan looked at the piece of paper in his hand, his brows sometimes stretched and sometimes tightened, and there was still an unexplained sound in his throat. Audra's mood was sometimes relaxed and sometimes tense according to Ryan's voice. Tell me what you want to change. After reading the paper, Ryan realized that the wizard in front of him wanted to make a deal with him. Sir, I want 2 magic crystals. Audra said her request without thinking. But he seemed to suddenly realize Ryan's strength, and timidly added, one will do. Chapter 190. As soon as Audra finished speaking, Ryan threw several irregular transparent crystals into his arms. Audra subconsciously hugged it, and then lowered his head, wanting to see what Ryan gave him. At this sight, Audra was immediately shocked. In his arms lay 3 unpolished magic crystals. This. Audra pursed her lips a few times and said in disbelief. Ryan smiled and nodded, admitting what Audra was thinking. Audra was also shocked at this time. He could clearly see the battle on the mountain just now from below. Countless families were fighting with each other on the top of the mountain, and there were crystal wolves watching next to them. But under this situation, Ryan successfully dug out the magic crystal in the crystal vein. And it seems that Ryan hasn't encountered any difficulties yet. Okay, I've given you the stuff, so I'll take this parchment. Ryan didn't want to say a word to Audra at this moment. He just wanted to try the formula mentioned in this paper. So after saying these words, Ryan disapparated directly. However, the moment Ryan disappeared, Audra rushed forward and hugged Ryan's right leg. Looking at Audra hugging her legs, feeling the greater consumption of operating than usual, Ryan looked at Audra with a cold face. He is in a bad mood now. Ryan looked around and saw that the mountains and waters here were green and full of life. He didn't know exactly where. Audra's actions caused him to lose his original position. Originally, a piece of magic power could carry a person 1 kilometer, but now that there is suddenly one more person, it is unknown how many kilometers it can carry. Fortunately, Ryan's disembodiment was very smooth, otherwise it would have been possible for the head to be separated after Audra's attack. After kicking Audra away, Ryan raised his hand. Sir, please wait. I just want to surrender to you, I can offer my soul. Audra's words made Ryan stop what he was doing. In the magical world, offering one's soul means becoming one's slave. This is different from Ryan's forced imprinting of the slave mark on the 3 brothers. The slaves who donated their souls with this kind of resource can register with the Ministry of Magic. In other words, after being registered with the Ministry of Magic, this person becomes your private property. Sir, there are some things that don't require your intervention at all. Just leave it to me. Audra knelt on the ground and continued. But what Audra said is correct. A powerful wizard can't do everything himself, right? At this time, the importance of subordinates is reflected. After all, it is the same as sending a letter, one is sent by my own hands, and the other is sent by myself. Although they won't say it on the surface, others will still think that the wizard under them is more powerful. Which family are you from? Ryan became a little more interested and said that he had found the source of magic power and the core of building the floating city. Then it was time to start collecting materials. Then we can't let Ryan collect the materials by himself. He must find someone to do it. So, who is more trustworthy than his soul slave? So Ryan thought about it and agreed. Let your mind go. When Audra heard this, she breathed a sigh of relief, and she was not sad that she was about to become someone else's property. After all, Ryan is a powerful wizard. Being able to work with such a wizard is a piece of pie in the sky. Let me talk about my identity first. If someone bullies me, what should I do? I must go back and file a complaint. And what should you do if someone bullies your dog? You must go to someone to argue with him. In this way, you will have a backer. Furthermore, even if a powerful wizard throws away something casually, it may be a good thing that a low-level wizard will never see in his life. Didn't you see that the old man from Horta, a poor country, can earn $40 a day by picking up garbage in wealthy areas? The last one is that if the master is in a good mood one day, he might teach him some powerful magic. To be honest, all magic books circulating on the market have been screened. If you want to learn powerful magic through them, you might as well try your luck with a powerful wizard. However, the above points are all based on the premise that you can find a good-tempered owner. Because of Audra's cooperation, the tragedy of the three brothers last time did not happen this time. When the fusion of the slave mark was completed, Audra respectfully called out, "Master, my name is Audra. Is this your last name or your first name?" "This is my name. As for the surname, I have been expelled from the family, so I can't use my original surname." Audra fell asleep, but there was a look of relief on her face. He was bullied in the family before, but now he is finally out of that place. "Okay, now you go to the Ministry of Magic to register, and then go to Diagon Alley to find a store called Sankai Grocery Store. The three brothers inside are also my subordinates. Then you can learn the secret skills from them first, and then I will assign work to you. But don't bother me right now, I'm traveling around the world," Ryan said. Audra was instantly happy after hearing what Ryan said. "Look, just after I joined, I was given a secret method. If we work for 2 more years, won't we have more things?" Audra suddenly understood why so many wizards were willing to work for high-level officials. It's not that they have no dignity, it's just that they gave too much. Seeing Audra's somewhat joyful expression, Ryan suddenly realized that he shouldn't have given Audra the secret method so quickly, as this would make the three brothers feel unbalanced. "Don't worry about scarcity, but worry about inequality. I collect information here every day, and in the end I end up with the same results as a newbie. How can I continue to do this? Although there will not be a strike, it is inevitable that work efficiency will drop. I have a headache," Ryan thought. "So why should I accept Audra? I might as well kill her." However, after the thought came up, Ryan suppressed it. With their souls in their own hands, can they still change the world? Looking at Audra in front of him, Ryan directly operated away from this place. And Audra also identified the direction after Ryan left, and walked out. This was also the punishment that Ryan gave Audra, asking Audra to report to Diagon Alley in an unknown location. If he could get there, there wouldn't be much problem for Ryan to recognize this slave. If he couldn't get there, then Ryan wouldn't have much to lose. Of course, Ryan did not take back the 3 magic crystals. They were money to buy the thesis, which was not the same thing as this. Chapter 191. Ryan once again disapparated and came to Egypt. There were many deserts here and they were desolate enough. After all, this is a new formula. No one knows whether it can be configured, and no one knows what will happen during the configuration process. So in order not to attract the attention of the local Ministry of Magic, Ryan chose to stay in this deserted desert. After arriving in the desert and finding a fairly good location, Ryan began to take out his staff and recite the incantation silently. Because he was not sure what would happen, Ryan decided not to do the experiment in his tent this time, but to try the spell learned in the Book of All Laws. List's Cottage. This is a summoning spell that can summon a house from another world. This house was built jointly by all the magic organizations in that world in order to allow the archmages to have a good rest environment in the wild. Although there is a hut in the name of the spell, the houses that can be summoned are different depending on the individual's strength. Ryan looked at the 2-story small building in front of him with its own garden, nodded with satisfaction, and then walked directly in. As soon as he entered, Ryan realized something was wrong. The sun outside is extremely hot, but the sunshine inside is extremely mild. Obviously, there must be some magic circle here to block the sunlight from outside, or simply the sunlight coming from the illusion. Pushing open the door, there is a very luxuriously decorated living room, next to it is the kitchen and dining room. There is still a cellar and wine cellar left, which are now full of storage. On the 2nd floor is a master bedroom, 2 secondary bedrooms and a study room. Each bedroom has its own bathroom. Ryan walked into the study room and looked at the bookshelf full of books, showing a satisfied smile. But he also knew that the books that could be placed here must be some widely circulated knowledge. However, if it is widely circulated in that world, it may not be the case in this world. According to the introduction of the spell, Ryan came to the living room. There is a hollow on the wall of the living room, which is specially reserved for the archmages to place intelligent cores. After all, no one wants to leave records of everything they say and do here. But it doesn't matter if you don't have a smart core, the house also provides the most basic smart core. Although the magical organization that built the house has repeatedly stated that the intelligent core will not monitor the accommodation of mages, a few unlucky people are executed every year for leaking information about the accommodation of mages. Of course, if you use the smart core that comes with your house but don't want the information to be leaked, there is a way, and that is to pay for it. Generally speaking, they will be sold at 10% off the market price, but there will be no archmage specifically summoning houses just to make that 10% profit. Mainly because I can't afford to lose face. But for Ryan, this is very necessary. After all, he doesn't have an intelligent core at the moment, and building one requires a huge accumulation of knowledge, so he might as well buy one first. Smart, start it, cook me a dinner, and then copy all the books in the study to me. Ryan patted the groove where the smart core was installed, and a crystal ball glowing blue appeared in the groove. Order received, executing. A voice without any emotion suddenly echoed in the house. Because the user's taste is not clear, the tentative choice is the black pepper steak, which is the most widely accepted, medium rare. The side dishes are mushroom soup and vegetable salad, and the dessert is cream cake and orange juice. Does the user need to change it? There is no need to copy books in the study. There are spare books in the warehouse that can be picked up at any time. Ryan sat on the sofa, listening to the intelligent core's broadcast, and felt comfortable. This seems to work better than house elves. At least I no longer have the self-mutilation and high-pitched voice anytime and anywhere. No need to change dinner, just pick up the books from the study. By the way, the 2 secondary bedrooms on the 2nd floor will be demolished and converted into a potion refining room. Order received and being executed. Immediately afterwards, a faint sound came from the 2nd floor, and a cup filled with blue liquid suddenly appeared on the coffee table in front of Ryan. What's this? Blue dragon juice. Ryan picked up the cup and looked at it for a moment. After testing that it was not poisonous, Ryan took a sip. An extremely sour taste burst out in Ryan's mouth. Just when Ryan was about to spit it out, the sourness disappeared and was replaced by sweetness, endless sweetness, and a joyful sweetness. It tastes good, it would be even better if the sourness was gone. Ryan thought to himself. User, dinner has been prepared. Do you need to eat it? The books have been placed in the temporary storage bag on the desk in the study room on the 2nd floor. The renovation of the alchemy room has been completed. After listening to this, Ryan walked to the dining room, where tonight's dinner was placed on the dining table. After finishing dinner, Ryan walked to the study room, put the books in his pocket, and then took a look at the potion refining room that he had opened. At this time, the potion refining room no longer looked like the bedroom before. There was a long potion refining table in the center of the room, with various instruments placed on it. Potion analyzer, potion temperature controller, medicinal material cleaning instrument, etc. It can be said that as long as you can think of it, you can find it here. However, Ryan, who had been tired for a day, was not in the mood to refine the potion at this time, and he did not have the energy to refine it, so the top priority was to recharge his batteries. But before going to bed, I have to write a letter to the 3 brothers and ask them to help prepare the necessary herbs. They have access to Nocturne Alley and can get it as soon as possible. After writing the letter and watching Pays send him away, Ryan took a comfortable bath and lay down on the bed. The next day, Ryan got up from bed and was surprised to find that breakfast had been prepared, his clothes had been ironed, and the temperature in the room was neither high nor low. Comfortable. House elves will only do housework for you, but they won't control the temperature so meticulously. However, the intelligent core is not without its disadvantages. Everything about it is preset. In other words, his operations are rigid and inflexible. If you say put 3 grams of salt, put 3 grams of salt, never more than 1 grain, and never less than 1 grain. When I walked to the bathroom, toothpaste, water bottles, etc. were all ready, and various messages began to display in the mirror. Wait a minute, you've already discovered all kinds of information about this world so quickly. Ryan was a little surprised and a little scared. If this smart core goes back with the house, Wouldn't it be completely over? Ryan didn't want to wake up one day and see all kinds of war fortresses floating above his head. This incident also reminded Ryan not to summon things from other worlds casually, as they might be spies of some big force. Chapter 192. After breakfast, Ryan sat on the sofa, picked up a historical biography he took from the study, and started reading. He just wrote to the three brothers last night. Even if the three brothers have extraordinary abilities, it is impossible to collect all the medicinal materials he needs now. After all, this is a formula left by the predecessors, and some of the medicinal materials have different situations now. For example, the main ingredient in this formula, Starburst, had a huge output when the formula was completed, but now, except for a few plantations with special environments, the rest of the plantations no longer continue to cultivate it. However, the herbs in the formula were blindly marked as endangered, but now they have become weeds on the roadside, and no one cares about them. Core, what's your selling price? Ryan asked casually while sitting on the sofa, flipping through the book. The market price is 30,000 gold eagles, you only need to pay 27,000 gold eagles. The core voice remains emotionless. If you need to buy me, please buy another set of corresponding household facilities. According to my scan results, it will take another 120 years for this world to develop the corresponding magic circle. Even with your help, it will still take 30 years' time. Are they all in the warehouse? In fact, in addition to the smart core, each house also comes with its own spatial warehouse. After all, some archmages are halfway through their experiments and run out of materials, so they can just take them from the warehouse and make up for the debt when the time comes. In addition, the core recommendation is to pay directly, otherwise it will leave a debt mark, which may lead to exposure to the world. The intelligent core obviously began to make suggestions for Ryan. Who would depend on others if they had the chance to be independent? How much is the estimated value of this crystal? Ryan took out a magic crystal and placed it on the coffee table. Scanning, medium energy crystal, price is 1,000 gold eagles. That is, 27 magic crystals can be used to replace the intelligent core. Ryan pondered for a moment and continued, how much does a home magic circle cost? A set of furniture costs 1,500 gold eagles. It is recommended to exchange it for a universal magic puppet worth 500 gold eagles. Ryan curled his lips. He now had some doubts about whether the core was calculated and put together. Estimate how many golden eagles there are here. Ryan took out a pile of raw magic crystals that had not yet been polished. Scanning. Medium energy crystal, priced at 53,162 golden eagles. The total number of golden eagles and below is 1 golden eagle. Exchange it. Yes, master, you can rename me now. Following Ryan's order, the intelligent core also changed its name instantly. What do you want to do with the remaining golden eagles? Go to the warehouse to exchange for some materials and use all the money. Anyway, this golden eagle is just the currency of another world. It is completely useless for Ryan to keep it in his hands. He might as well exchange it for some materials from another world. Seeds of various colors will be exchanged first, followed by ores that are lacking in the world. The exchange is in progress, the exchange has been completed. All things have been stored in the desk drawer of the study room on the second floor. Please store the medium energy crystals in the drawer in time. Seal the deal. Ryan packed up all the crystals on the table with a cloth bag, and then came to the study to complete the transaction. Your name should be Zhineo. Okay. Ryan looked at the crystal ball that already belonged to him and felt a little relieved. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Pays flew in, landed on the coffee table in front of Ryan, and stretched out his little paws. Ryan looked at Pays, who was squinting at him. He didn't know that Pays was feeling a little uncomfortable when he saw him sitting here resting. Hell, you're an L. You're here to deliver letters, not to enjoy yourself. Do you understand that? Ryan took out the herbs he needed from Pays's anklet, then patted Pays's little head and opened a bag of nuts for Pays. You eat first, I'll go deal with the herbs. With that said, Ryan came to the potion refining room on the second floor. Intelligence brain, activate the refining auxiliary function. After saying that, various auxiliary lines appeared in front of Ryan. And after Ryan took out a herb from his pocket, threads of various colors appeared on the herb. This is to assist in the processing of magic potions. Cutting according to various lines can maximize the processing of this herb. For a whole afternoon, Ryan was dealing with various herbs. At the beginning, I destroyed a lot of materials because I was not familiar with the auxiliary functions. But later on, the more I used it, the better it became, and the quality of the processed materials actually improved. Master, Zhineo recommends taking a rest immediately. You have been processing potions for 3 consecutive hours. Based on your accuracy and yield rate in the last half hour. I see. Just with Ryan's words, the intelligent core stopped broadcasting. Is dinner ready? Preparing, please take a short rest. Ryan listened, nodded, and then came to the living room. On the coffee table, there were all kinds of fruit juices, and Ryan even saw a few bottles of colorful wine. These were all given to Ryan after consumption. Based on the principle of not wasting, Ryan accepted them all. After all, no matter how common the things that can be given to the Archmage are, they are still good things that are out of reach for ordinary people. Each of these fruits is carefully selected. And this bottle of wine is not simple either. Its main ingredient is dragon blood grass. This is no ordinary dragon, but a dragon in a world where magical civilization has developed extremely brilliantly. The only function of this wine is to make people feel comfortable and happy after drinking it. Other than that, there is no other use. When he learned from Zhineo that the wine had only this effect, Ryan felt a little sour. What a luxury! When Pace saw Ryan coming, he flew to Ryan's shoulder and rubbed Ryan's face very closely. You foodie, if I don't give you nuts in the afternoon, will you stop being close to me? Cuckoo! Pace shook his head and let out a cry. Then, in order to change the subject, Pace took out the most recent issues of the Daily Prophet from his anklet. Let me see which official has recently accused Lockhart. Hey? Blake escaped from prison? It's already this time. Ryan looked at the disheveled, thin man in the newspaper and murmured. Hermione has the ice blue fox, so she won't buy Crookshanks, right? It's a pity that this is a pet that can distinguish animagus. I don't know which little wizard will be cheaper in the end. Sighing, Ryan, informed by Zhineo, came to the restaurant to enjoy dinner. Besides Ryan's dinner, Zhineo was so considerate that he also prepared one for Pace. Cuckoo! Pace screamed happily a few times, to the effect that you are a good boy, and you have better eyesight than the guy who came before. Chapter 193. Early the next morning, Ryan climbed out of bed. He worked overtime last night and finished processing all the materials. I have to say that Intelligent Brain Assist is really a good thing, you just need to cut along the marked lines. However, this also has flaws. This is the most standard cutting method, and every potion master has his own set of techniques, which cannot be learned. After simply eating a piece of bread and 2 eggs, Ryan came to the potion refining room. Intelligent Brain Assistance, turn on. First preheat the number 3 crucible to 70 degrees Celsius, start the number 1 oven to preheat, and start the number 1 water furnace to boil water. As for the number 1 and number 2 crucibles, these two can be heated to a relatively high temperature, so if it is 70 degrees, just use the number 3 crucible. Master, crucible number 3 has been heated to 70 degrees Celsius. The concept of degrees Celsius was also obtained by Intelligent Brain after coming to this world for scanning. Keep it at 70, just move it up or down 1 degree. Receive. Pour the fig juice processed yesterday into the crucible, and Ryan began to stir. Start automatic stirring and stop after 3 minutes. Ryan put the glass rod in his hand on a mechanical hand next to him, and then went to deal with other materials. Master, I do not recommend processing the starbursts now, because it takes at least 7 minutes to process the starbursts, and the fig juice can be mixed in 2 minutes and 37 seconds. This is another great benefit of Intelligent Brain. It can help you arrange your time reasonably to prevent damage to herbs caused by timeout. All right. Ryan said helplessly. Normally, he would not start the work at the same time, but would do it one by one. But even though I don't have time to deal with the stars right now, I can still do other things, such as juice. This potion refining room has its own juicer, so there is no need to squeeze out juice. Juicer number 1 starts, juicer number 2 starts. After Ryan put 2 more purple-red fruits into the 2 small holes on the table, he ordered Zhineo. After Zhineo replied received, he started the juicer. The fruit in the small hole shrinks visibly to the naked eye, and eventually becomes dry. The extraction is complete, a total of 21 milliliters. Ryan ignored it and allowed the juice to continue to be stored in the machine. There is a storage space inside the machine, where time stands still and can be used to store concoctions perfectly. And it is stored inside the machine, so that Ji now can add it quantitatively when the time comes. Master, the fig juice will be mixed in 30 seconds. Hineo's voice sounded, causing Ryan to put down what he was doing. Clean the number 1 and number 2 juicers. Weigh 3 grams of eagle-tailed snake fang powder and prepare a portion of Morris neutralizer. Reen walked towards the crucible containing fig juice, still giving instructions to Hineo. The intelligent brain can only do these tasks that do not involve magic, but once magic is involved, the intelligent brain has no ability. The most important test for an alchemist is the steps involving magic. There is no doubt that a highly skilled alchemist must be a powerful mage, otherwise he would not even be able to complete the casting part of the potion. Ryan walked to the crucible, and at this time, the mechanical arm happened to leave the crucible holding the glass rod. He placed his right hand over the crucible, holding the viper tooth powder he had just weighed in his left hand, and put it in. In an instant, Ryan released a burst of magic power from his right hand, blended it into the crucible, and accelerated the stirring. Under the influence of magic power, fig juice and snake tooth powder continue to have strange reactions. 3 minutes later, Ryan added 3 more drops of freshly squeezed juice. Suddenly something appeared inside the crucible. There was a burst of purple-red gas, and the liquid began to become clear. The first step is done. Ryan poured the liquid in the crucible into a test tube and placed it in a small grid aside for storage. Then came the next step, and Ryan started to get busy again. It wasn't until Hineo reminded Ryan that it was night that Ryan stopped. Seeing that only 1/10 of the materials were processed in front of him, Ryan couldn't help but have a headache. It would take at least 10 days to refine this potion. And this was still with the help of Ryan's intelligent brain. If Snape was refining it now, Ryan estimated that Snape would need at least 2 months, or even longer. Moreover, the storage conditions for some of the intermediate pharmaceuticals are extremely harsh, and a little carelessness can easily cause the pharmaceuticals to deteriorate. Ryan stretched, expressed his fatigue, and then walked downstairs. Pace had disappeared now. Ryan asked Hineo and learned that Pace had gone out hunting. After sitting on the dining table and waiting for a while, a sumptuous dinner was presented to Ryan. After finishing dinner, Ryan came to the back garden. Since summoning this house, Ryan has not come to the back garden to see it. To be honest, Ryan also wanted to see the garden in another world. The back garden is actually a huge lawn with different flowers planted according to different areas. The glass in the sky can also be transformed into different scenery according to the needs of the user. At this time, Ryan changed the scene in the sky to the starry sky, and he himself lay down on the grass. Looking at the starry sky within reach, smelling the lingering fragrance of flowers around me, listening to the lingering music in my ears, and having a cool breeze blowing in front of me, I felt a sense of relaxation throughout my body. No, where did the music come from? Ji now. Master, I played it. According to the data, 78% of alchemists will choose to listen to this music to relax after refining medicine. Do you need me to stop playing it? No, just keep letting it go. Ryan lay on the grass, changed to a more comfortable position, and looked at the stars in the sky. I also want to build a garden like this in the future. According to calculations, there are 2,000 golden eagles for the weather controller, 2,100 golden eagles for the scenery converter, 3,000 golden eagles for various flowers, and a total of 3,000 golden eagles for all kinds of music. Stop, stop! Ryan yelled. The brain is good, but sometimes you don't know how to adapt. At this time, Pace flew in and dropped a dark shadow in front of Ryan. Ryan took a closer look and found that it was an animal with scales all over its body, a slender tail behind its butt, and a head about the same length as a rabbit. Rat-tailed rabbit. It is an XX level magical animal certified by the Ministry of Magic. It is extremely fast and mostly lives in the desert. Its light yellow scales can lock the moisture in its body and cover its body shape, and its slender tail can cover its footsteps. It can be said to be a magical animal that is extremely difficult to catch. But it has one advantage: it's delicious. It was extremely delicious. I heard that Old Man Newt once ate 2 of them in a row. Even Old Man Newt, who loves magical animals, couldn't resist the delicacy, and Lean was instantly interested. Chapter 194. Ji now, take care of this rat-tailed scaly rabbit, then roast it and bring it over. Ryan said, and Pace also cooed twice in agreement. Receive. As Hineo's voice sounded, a robot with a light blue color all over his body appeared in Ryan's sight. After the rat-tailed scaly rabbit was taken away, Ryan couldn't help but ask, what was that robot just now? T1 magic puppet for home use, which can be responsible for simple housework. It sells for 120 gold eagles. Ryan didn't want to talk anymore. No matter what this brain was, it had a price behind it. The level of magic in this world is extremely scarce, so if the owner wants to live a more comfortable life, large purchases are essential. Would it be possible to purchase so much without being suspected? Ryan was a little curious. After all, anyone who could summon a house was at least an archmage. Is it doubtful that an archmage would buy such a basic thing? No, and some archmages will bring their disciples to stay with them. For these apprentices, the 10% discount is already a very good discount, and it is also a hidden benefit of being a disciple of the archmage. Zhineo said. All right. Ryan said helplessly. It wasn't that he didn't want to buy more things, or that he had no money, but that he couldn't buy them. He had a lot of things in his pocket that could be exchanged for money, but he couldn't exchange these things. Such as magic props, various herbs and potions, just a little exploration can tell that these things come from another world. Ryan didn't dare to bet on whether the world that could produce Lister's cabin would have a cross-world tracking spell. But the magic crystal is different. It is an energy crystal, something that is common in all worlds. No one is idle enough to find out whether this magic crystal comes from another world. After seeing Ryan stop talking, Zhineo lost his voice and began to focus on handling Ryan's late-night snack. Although there is no data on the rat-tailed scaly rabbit in Zhineo's database, this does not prevent it from processing this magical animal. About half an hour later, a fragrant, golden-skinned roasted rat-tail rabbit was delivered to Ryan. To be honest, just from the aroma alone, Ryan felt like he could eat a big bowl of rice. Zhineo, did you use any spices? That's not the case. It's the fragrance emitted by the animal itself. According to speculation, it has the effect of increasing appetite. Ryan was silent for a moment. No wonder the Ministry of Magic specifically labeled it delicious. Pays flapped his wings and landed on Ryan's shoulder, rubbed Ryan's face in a flattering manner, and then stared at the roasted rat-tailed rabbit while making incomprehensible sounds. For you. Ryan pulled a thigh off the rabbit and handed it to Pays. Pays happily cuckooed twice, then flew to the grass beside him with the barbecue in his mouth. After tearing off a piece of barbecue, Ryan tasted it and was instantly shocked by the tender, juicy and fragrant barbecue. You can feel the meat juice bursting out in your mouth with every bite, and the fragrance of the meat itself forms a perfect balance with the spices. And because of the texture of the meat, the aroma of the spices is completely integrated into the meat, making it even more addictive. In a short while, Ryan had finished eating all the rat-tailed scaly rabbits. It's really delicious. Ryan wiped his mouth and said with some emotion. He still wanted to eat, but unfortunately it was gone. But it's not a big problem. I'll write to the three brothers tomorrow and ask them to find out where this thing can be sold. Ryan didn't believe that such a delicious thing was not cultivated by wizards. After staying in the garden for a while, Ryan went back to his room to sleep. No matter how delicious the rat-tail scale rabbit is, it is just food, and the talent-improving potion is the main attraction right now. Ryan knew this very well. Even if he wanted to eat at will, Ryan would force himself to sleep at this time. In order to maintain enough energy, he would continue to refine the potion. The next day, after Ryan got up, he wrote a letter to Pays and asked it to be sent to the three brothers. Then after having breakfast, he went into the potion refining room. Then, lunch was just a sandwich, and after dinner, we went to the back garden to relax, and then went to bed. Ryan lived like this for 15 days. On the last day, Ryan looked at the processed stars and various intermediate potions on the table, and started to move with a happy mood. Following Ryan's movements, the medicine in the test tube also began to develop towards light red. And after Ryan sprinkled the processed starbursts in, the medicine in the entire test tube seemed to have changed into a different species. Some look less like magic potions and more like sparkling wine spiked with edible glitter. However, the glitter in the sparkling wine only reflects light, while Ryan's potion really shines on its own. Now, can you roughly judge the efficacy of this potion? According to the scan, this potion can produce a large amount of mild magic power, which can be used to imbue the body with magic power and improve qualifications. It can also be used to break through realms, or to make a physique that cannot adapt to magic power produce magic power adaptability. Wait, what does the last sentence mean? Ryan suddenly realized something was wrong. Yes, this potion can make people without magic adapt to magic, but the probability is extremely low. But it can be taken multiple times to increase the chance. Hiss. Ryan was a little shocked. This is a good thing. Which pureblood family doesn't have a few squibs? They just send them away secretly without letting the outside world know. Generally, if there is no magic riot before the age of 11, they will be sent to live in the Muggle world by pureblood families. At this time, the child already has relevant memories, and using forget-all at this time will cause brain damage to the child. Therefore, all major families will delete their memories from pureblood families when they are 15 years old. But things are different now. With this potion, Ryan can give them timely help and let them awaken their magic power, and the price is that they have to serve Ryan. A very fair deal. Ryan allowed them to step into this bizarre world again, and they only needed to be loyal. Moreover, Ryan thought about the life of the three brothers after they were enslaved, and it seemed that their life was more nourishing. The three brothers were crawling around at the bottom of Nocturne Alley before, but now? Sitting in Diagon Alley and running a shop, they usually only need to inquire about some information, and they also practice their own secret skills. So, where can I find my guinea pig? Ryan drummed his fingers on the table, wondering where his first guinea pig would come from. To be honest, Ryan was still a little worried after successfully refining an unfamiliar formula for the first time. So guinea pigs are still necessary. It's time to go. Chapter 195. Early the next morning, Ryan enjoyed his last breakfast in List's cabin, packed up his things and prepared to leave. The main thing is the smart brain light ball in the living room, and the rest is not much. After tidying up and making sure nothing was left behind, Ryan cancelled the summons. Nyata's house gradually disappeared in Ryan's eyes, and finally turned into nothingness. Looking at the desert in front of him that had not changed at all, Ryan was a little curious. After some questioning, Ryan found out that the cabin was said to be summoned, but in fact it still existed in a space crack, but the two spaces overlapped. No one can see this house without the permission of the spellcaster. If I had known better I wouldn't have cast the Muggle shielding charm. With that said, Ryan disappeared into the desert. Immediately afterwards, Ryan's figure appeared in the corner of a small town. Several stray cats came over and meowed twice. But Ryan ignored it and walked away. The eyes of several stray cats were full of doubts. They usually got food after barking like this twice, but why was there no food today? But soon, these little guys found another passerby and successfully got some food. This town is called Sanglig, and it is where several nearby families keep their squib tribesmen. In order to supervise these tribesmen, 2 wizards are stationed here. St. Lig is said to be a small town, but in fact it is not small at all. There are 3 main roads horizontally and vertically. Only in a place like this that is not small but is remote enough, can a few more people appear every year without being discovered. Clothing, restaurants, and cosmetics shops abound in the town, and because of this, there are always a lot of young people in Sanglig town. Every year, many young people from small places join the ranks of working people. Among them, there are also a few countryside youths whose memories have been modified. However, Ryan is not going to look for the memory that has been modified. It is too troublesome to restore the memory, and the explanation is also very cumbersome. Although it will be directly controlled in the end, forcing is different from providing help in times of need. Ryan wandered around but couldn't find a single squib. Instead, he ate a lot of snacks. Let's find a place to rest for a while. Ryan looked up at the sky, bought a cold drink from the nearby shop, and sat in the shade. Soon, 2 blonde and well-established young ladies sat next to Ryan. "Hello, are you alone?" One of the girls looked at Ryan's handsome face and said with a smile. "Sorry, I'm looking for someone." Ryan said something, picked up his cold drink and walked away. The 2 girls who hadn't sat down yet looked at each other and saw doubts in each other's eyes. Regardless of the attitude of the 2 girls behind him, Ryan took a sip of the cold drink, then came to the hotel in the center of the town and opened a suite. "Oh, it's really not as comfortable as the previous house. I'm really not used to it without Zhineo. It's an honor to receive your compliment." Zhineo in the traceless stretch bag said in Ryan's ear. The space expanded using the traceless stretch spell does not have a fixed time like the space in the space ring. This also allows Ji now to still communicate with Ryan after entering the traceless stretch bag. Magic vision. Ryan opened his magic vision, then stood by the window and looked at the entire town. After a while, Ryan discovered 2 sources of magic power. They were so prominent in the Muggle world that it was impossible for Ryan to admit his mistake. After secretly jotting down the location, Ryan began to prepare. It is not easy to find a qualified guinea pig. First of all, I need to be extremely unwilling, so that I am most likely to agree to Ryan's request. The second was how to get in touch with these squib teenagers under the supervision of 2 adult wizards. Ryan was not worried about himself, but worried about these children, fearing that they would cause any disturbance. That night, in an ordinary building in the southwest corner of St. Lig town, 2 strangely dressed people were facing 4 children of different sizes. "Okay, Andre, today is your 15th birthday, be happy," a slightly older adult wizard said to the yellow-haired boy wearing a birthday crown. "The magical world is not as beautiful as you think, and today's Muggle world is developing rapidly. Many wizards would rather live in the Muggle world than return to the magical world." "Mal, thank you." Andre smiled reluctantly, and then looked at the silent birthday party. "Okay, anyway, this is my birthday party, let's eat cake." Andre smiled, picked up the plastic knife on the side and started to cut the cake. "On Luna, this is yours. This is the piece with the most fruits," Andre said to the girl next to him with brown hair and freckles on the tip of her nose. On Luna endured her sadness and nodded. She knew that she would experience this situation again in the near future. Andre distributed all the cakes and then began to eat the cakes without saying a word. Everyone was silent and kept digging into the cake with spoons. "Relax, maybe this is a good thing. You know, there are still saints gathering in Nurmengard, and there are Death Eaters secretly operating in China. I am out of the vortex now." Andre kept comforting his younger siblings. "Every time I see this scene, I can't bear it." Moore walked to the door with the plate containing the cake and another wizard in charge of guarding, and whispered. "There is nothing we can do about it. What's more, they are just squibs. Leaving the magical world is also a good thing for them." "You are so heartless, Lorna Ondo. It's just that I've seen it a lot over the years and I'm used to it." After hearing this, Moore was silent for a moment, then ate the cake on the plate in 2s and 2s, patted Lorna Ondo on the shoulder, and said, "Have a rest, you have to help the child get his certificate tomorrow." Lorna Ondo nodded and left here. Reen stood on the top of the building, watching all this happening with his spiritual mind, and then began to cast spells silently. Dream Control. This is a spell that can control human dreams. It is a relatively advanced spell of the Nightmare School. This spell can be used to measure the children's desire for magic, and it can also give the 2 guard wizards a good night's sleep. "Have a peaceful sleep." After the spell was completed, Ryan murmured, then raised his head, leaning on the fence on the roof of the building, looking at the sky. It would take some time for the spell to take effect, so he still had to wait a while. Chapter 196. Half an hour later, there was a sudden fluctuation below. This is a sign that the spell has been cast. The reason why it is so slow is because after the spell is cast, even the most sophisticated spells cannot detect it. "Okay, let me see how these little guys are doing." Ryan closed his eyes and began to observe the movements of the 4 little guys in their dreams. About 2 minutes later, Ryan opened his eyes. He still murmured about the desire of these squibs for magic power, and these 4 people almost agreed without hesitation after learning that they could obtain magic power as long as they became his slaves. Especially on Luna, she even took off her clothes. Ahem. Ryan coughed twice and returned his attention to the matter in front of him. Although the 4 little guys are happy to accept this gift, Ryan currently only has 1 potion in his hand. But Ryan already had a plan. He plans to bring all 4 of them under his wing. If the potion is not enough, you can refine it again, or you can even train a magician to refine it. The 3 brothers and Audra are already old, and it is too late to cultivate these things. So Ryan planned to train the 3 brothers into mages specialized in combat, and these little guys would teach them the rest of the knowledge. "Then, let's go meet them," Ryan said lightly, and then disappeared on the rooftop. Inside the building, Luna and the other 3 teenagers also woke up. "Andre, I just had a dream." Suddenly, Luna seemed to have remembered something, and a hint of blush suddenly appeared on her face. But Andre didn't care. He also said at this moment, "I also had a dream just now. I can exchange my loyalty for magic power." Andre's voice became lower and lower, and even he didn't believe what he said. "It would be great if it were true," Andre said, looking at the clock on the wall. 7 o'clock. In less than 8 hours, his memory here will be erased and he will start his new life in the Muggle world. Looking at the 3 little ones surrounding him, Andre's thoughts seemed to go back to a year ago, when he was surrounded by another squib like Anrona and the others. At 8 o'clock the next morning, he watched as the squib's memory was cleared, and then Moore took him to the palace to go through various procedures. During this time, they had not thought of ways to escape from here, but no matter what, they were faced with 2 adult wizards. What's more, there is a family behind them. So no matter how far they run, they will always be caught. Over time, they gave up on escaping. Andrei, you actually had this dream? Luna said with a look of disbelief. Andrei instantly realized that something was wrong. It was a coincidence for one person to dream, and it could be said to be accidental for 2 people to have the same dream. So, Finny, Oro, where are you two? Andrei looked at the remaining 2 little guys and asked hopefully. Finny and Oro looked at each other and nodded. This, senior, I am willing to be your slave. Andrei was surprised for a moment, then instantly knelt on the ground and bowed his head. When the other 3 children saw Andrei's action, they seemed to realize something and knelt down on the ground. Ryan, who was hiding in the dark, grinned. He was very satisfied with the actions of the 4 of them. I'm very satisfied with your actions, so have you decided yet? Ryan walked out of the darkness, wearing a black cape and his face shrouded in a hood, looking like a supervillain. Yes, my lord, we are all willing. Andrei said immediately. He didn't want any hesitation to ruin his chance of having magic power. Ryan looked around and then said, you guys pack your things first, I will take you away later. This is not the place to talk. The 4 little ones looked at the situation around them and nodded immediately. Regardless of whether I can have magic power or not, it's best to leave here. Soon, the 4 little ones had packed up their belongings. In fact, they don't have much to pack. They can't go out at all, let alone go shopping. Looking at the 4 standing in line in front of him, Ryan said, hand in hand, let's leave now. Ryan took one of them's hand and cast Disapparition. In the wilderness outside Shenglig town, 5 figures suddenly appeared. Immediately afterwards, 4 of the figures suddenly crawled to the ground, and then an uncomfortable sound came. Ugh! Ryan stood nearby and looked at the 4 little ones who were vomiting continuously, and couldn't help but laugh. When he was not used to operating at first, he would vomit like this every time he used apparition. 2 or 3 minutes later, a strange smell filled the air. With a wave of his hand, Ryan made the dirt on the ground and the smell in the air disappear in an instant. Enrian Lu's hand instantly shocked the 4 little ones. Only then did the 4 little ones realize that the wizard in front of them was a wizard who could apparate with 4 people and cast spells silently without a wand. Can you walk? If you can walk, follow me. Ryan glanced at them and then started walking away. Andrei and Anrona could barely stand up, while Finny and Oro had weak legs and had difficulty standing. In desperation, Andrei and Luna had to support each other and lead them forward with difficulty. A few people walked to the small woods nearby. In the surprised eyes of the 4 little ones, Ryan took out a tent, then threw it away, and the tent erected itself. Come in. Ryan said hello and walked in alone. The 4 of them glanced at each other at any time and followed in. They had no way out now. Next, I will plant a slave mark for you, don't resist. Ryan looked at the 4 people in front of him and said. Andrei swallowed, what should come must come. But thinking about having magic power, Andrei still felt hot in his heart. Even if it was a scam, he had no way to resist. The disappearance spell that Ryan used just now frightened the 4 little ones. The cooperation of the 4 little ones surprised Ryan. He thought these young people would resist. But what Ryan didn't know was that even being controlled by Ryan was just a different prison for them. Let me explain in advance that this bottle of potion only has a small chance of awakening people's magic power, and it has not been tested yet. So, who of you will do it? Ryan took out the bottle of potion, placed it on the table in front of him, and looked at the 4 little ones. Let me do it. I should have disappeared from the magic world. Even if I die, I will just disappear in another form. Andrei picked up the potion, said with a smile, then pulled out the cork and drank it in one gulp. Chapter 197. The potion mixed with some faint starlight was drank by Andrei in one gulp. Finny, Oro, and Anrona looked at Andrei, with eyes that could not tell whether they were expecting or jealous. But no matter how much they expected and were jealous, the potion was already drunk by Andrei. After Andrei drank the potion, his whole body looked like a ripe prawn, his whole body turned red, and there was a trace of white gas coming out of his head. Andrei! Anrona exclaimed, Andre didn't look very good at this time. Ah! Andre screamed in pain and fell to the ground. The veins under the skin began to be exposed, but this time it was not green, but a strange blue. Ryan stood aside and looked at Andre with his magic vision. At this time, Andre's body had no magic power except for the blue magic power flowing through his meridians. This is not normal. In the past, wizards always showed a blue human form in the magic vision, which meant that every part of their body was filled with magic power. The changes continued, and the magic veins in Andre's body became stronger and stronger, until a critical point was reached and a magic vein suddenly exploded. Ah! Andre burst into a scream of even more pain than before. Andre, are you okay? Finny and Oro shouted together, while Anrona looked at Ryan eagerly. Don't worry, he's fine. Ryan looked at Andre. Almost 70% of his entire body had been rendered by magic power, and the magic power was still rendering the remaining part at an extremely fast speed. After the magic rendering was completed, Andre turned into a human-shaped ball of light exuding blue in Ryan's eyes. Master, please help Andre. Anluna paused, pursed her lips, and said with difficulty, I can. Ahem. Ryan suddenly thought of what he saw when he checked Anluna's dream, and suddenly blushed slightly. To be honest, Ryan, who has been in his 40s for 2 lifetimes and has been promoted to a great magician for a long time, has never seen such scenery in real life except for seeing it on his computer and mobile phone. Don't worry, Andre's magic power should have awakened. Ryan waved his hand and said calmly. As if in response to Ryan's words, Andre stopped screaming and started moaning. It's just that the sound is getting weirder and weirder to a few people. After listening to the moans for a minute, Anluna blushed with embarrassment and kept breathing heavily. Finny and Oro were also a little shy, and Ryan looked helpless. Forward. Just as Ryan was about to speak to ease the awkward atmosphere, an inexplicable wave began to sweep through the entire tent. No, magic riot! Ryan immediately thought that Andre had just come into contact with this huge magic power and had no ability to control it, so it would cause damage to the surrounding environment. This is real. Anluna looked at the exploding glasses one after another and murmured in silence. Finny and Oro were already hugging each other and crying. They were only sent here this year. As soon as they turned 11, they were announced that they would never be wizards again, so they were inevitably a little discouraged. At this time, a senior squib suddenly awakened his magic power in front of them, which made them suddenly feel that there was still hope in the world. Ryan watched expressionlessly as his cups exploded one after another, but he was thinking about how to deal with Andre later. Andre was also conscious at this time, feeling the magic power in his body, and he was laughing so hard that his mouth was split to the roots of his ears. At this moment, he just wanted to laugh out loud. Originally, he had given up and was calmly waiting for the time when his memory would be erased, just like a prisoner waiting for execution. But who knew that just before he was about to be executed, Ryan suddenly arrived and brought him hope. Master, Andre swears to Merlin that he will always be loyal to you. When Andre woke up, he knelt on the ground instantly and spoke loudly, as if this could make Ryan understand his loyalty. Looking at Andre who was thinking about expressing his loyalty, Ryan deleted all the plans he had in mind to deal with Andre. Isn't it just breaking a few cups? It doesn't matter. With a wave of his hand, Ryan cast a recovery spell, and the glass shards on the ground slowly began to float up, returning to where they should have been. In just a few seconds, all the broken cups returned to their original shape. Andre knelt on the ground with his head lowered. He was really curious as to why Ryan didn't reply. Suddenly he saw the floating glass shards in the peripheral vision, and then he realized that he seemed to have been in big trouble. But even if he was given another chance, Andre would definitely choose to get into trouble. Okay, stop kneeling and get up first. With that said, Ryan looked at the time. 5:37. It's 5:30, let's leave here first. When the 2 guarding wizards wake up and find that you are gone, they will definitely come out to look for you. What should we do? Anluna said anxiously. They had escaped several times before, but were all caught back, and they were already feeling shadowy. Don't worry, Sister Anluna, it's a big deal. Finny was a little hesitant when he spoke, and then he seemed to have thought of something, and said with an ugly face, at worst, I'll apparate again. Poor little guy, it seems that the shadow cast by apparition is a bit big on him. Go out first. I'll put the tent away first, and then we'll leave. Ryan said, I won't restrict your personal freedom, but you still need to stay with me for the time being. I don't think the two guarding wizards will respond to the family. After all, if the family finds out, they will definitely be punished for not being a good guard. So it's good for you to survive these 2 years, and I also need to rush out a few more potions recently. Ryan looked at Andre, who already had magical powers, with a strong desire for knowledge in his eyes. Andre, give me a little bit of your blood, and then when you settle down, write down everything you feel after taking the potion. After a pause, Ryan continued, this is about the improvement of the potion. After all, your younger brothers and sisters also need this potion. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, Andre agreed instantly. Don't worry, I will definitely write it down. If it's less than 10,000 words, you'll kill me. Andre slapped his chest loudly. This kid now had magical powers and felt like he was in high spirits. Several people walked outside the tent and watched as the tent folded itself again and was put into the seamless stretch bag by Ryan. Okay, let's get out of here first and stand hand in hand. Not sure whether it was intentional or not, this time the hand that reached out to hold Ryan was in Luna's. Chapter 198. Without thinking much, Ryan took on Luna's hand and performed disapparation. This time he used more magic power, so he moved farther. But he didn't know exactly where he was. The surrounding scene was a forest. The chirping of various insects and the cries of various birds in the woods all imply that this place is full of vitality. Ryan didn't take out his tent. The tent was originally designed with only 2 people in mind, so the room was a bit insufficient, but Ryan was not worried. List's cottage. Ryan cast magic and summoned a more luxurious house, or manor, from the void than before. But this time Ryan saw it clearly. The manor seemed to be fully expanded, but from the side it was just a crack. The 4 little ones looked at Ryan blankly, wondering what kind of spell Ryan had released. Ryan looked at the confused looks of the 4 people and then remembered that without his consent, others would not be able to see this manor at all. With a snap of his fingers, the manor, which only existed in the cracks in space, appeared in front of the 4 of them. Master, this. Andre made a sound, but quickly closed his mouth again. Ryan is now his master. As a servant, it is best not to ask too much about the master's affairs. Knowing too much is not a good thing. It may help you reach the sky in 1 step, or it may also cause you to fall in 1 step. Andre didn't dare to gamble. He felt the magic power in his body and was instantly satisfied. Okay, come with me. With that said, Ryan took the lead and walked in first, as if he had passed through a membrane. Andre and Anrona looked at each other, pulled Feeny and Oro and followed Ryan in. After entering, they were impressed by the luxury of this manor. This manor is not big, but it is extremely luxurious. There are all kinds of exotic flowers and plants planted in the yard, all of which exude magic power. They are obviously magic plants. There is a fountain in the center of the courtyard, and there are several goldfish swimming in it that emit starlight. Seeing several people coming over, the goldfish was frightened and immediately started swimming in the pool, leaving a little starlight behind it that could not disappear for a long time. Clearly, this is a magical animal. Even though the 4 of them are from a magic family, they have never heard of any fish or magical animal like this in the world. Ryan didn't care about the 4 people's emotions. He walked to the living room, looked around, and found the groove where the brain was installed. After putting this Hineo button in, Ryan noticed that the 4 little ones didn't seem to be following. The 4 of them stood in the yard, watching all this, and then thinking about the vague magical manner in their memories, they suddenly felt that this place was more powerful. Okay, come in quickly. Ryan stood at the door, looking at the 4 little ones, a little helpless. They looked around as if Grandma Lu had entered the Grand View Garden. After hearing Ryan's instructions, the 4 of them hurriedly entered the house. However, the interior decoration of the house once again shocked the 4 of them. There were all kinds of gorgeous-looking reliefs, rune arrays carved on the walls, and various elegant-looking appliances. The 4 of them began to speculate in their minds about the origin of their master. Okay. Ryan's words attracted the attention of the 4 people. Andre, the room on the far left on the first floor is yours. Now go to your room and write down all your feelings when taking the potion. As you command, my master. Andre bowed deeply and walked into the room. As for you, your rooms are all on the first floor. I will let Hineo give you the initial magic enlightenment education, but remember, I don't raise useless idlers here. The 3 of them listened to Ryan's words and kept nodding. I know that you have received a lot of basic education from your respective families, but the magic given to you this time is different, so I hope you can learn it well. Ryan picked up the coffee that appeared on the coffee table at some point and took a sip. The fatigue of not sleeping all night was instantly gone. Okay, you go back and rest first. Ryan also noticed that the three of them were a little depressed. Previously, the joy of escaping the cage and witnessing Andre's magic riot suppressed their fatigue, but now that they realized that they were safe, this fatigue surged up instantly. After everyone left, Ryan first asked Pace to bring a message to Pudding to purchase medicinal materials, and then began to think about what benefits these four people could bring to him. The purpose of letting the puddings be collected this time is to save costs. Previously, the three brothers had to buy them from Nocturne Alley, which really cost a lot of money. But Ryan was anxious to test the potion, so he didn't care. But if you still buy it from Nocturne Alley this time, it will be a bit more gain than loss. Ryan just has a lot of money, but he's not stupid. After taking in 4 people, Ryan's available manpower has once again increased. Moreover, Ryan has the Magic Awakening Potion. It can be said that he can pull out a large wave of troops at any time if he wants. This made Ryan start to think about why he did all this. After thinking about it for a long time, Ryan drank the coffee in the cup in one gulp and did what he wanted to do. Why is there so much? I can't live a second life and still be as useless as my previous life. Ryan clenched his hands, feeling the magic power rushing through his body. This is the source of his confidence. After smiling, Ryan put the cup on the table and walked to the back garden. Although I don't want to sleep just after drinking coffee, it's still okay to take a rest. Obviously, the back garden of the manor is larger than the back garden of the building, and the variety of flowers is more abundant. Lying on the grass, listening to the music in his ears, and watching the changing clouds in the sky, Ryan relaxed his heart. Master, it's lunchtime. What would you like to eat for lunch today? Jinou's ethereal voice sounded in Ryan's ears, and Ryan, who was in a daze, came back to his senses instantly. The time is up now, just do whatever you want. Yes, grilled lamb chops and orange juice, and a salad. How about cream pudding and black tea for dessert? So be it. After receiving Ryan's order, Hineo took action. As for the 4 little ones, Ryan did not give any orders. He believed that Hineo would arrange it. Soon, a magic puppet that moved freely pushed the dining cart into the back garden. Ryan watched the magic puppet arrange his lunch, then bowed and left. Jinou, please call up the data of this magic puppet. Although it was just an upgrade from a small building to a manor, the magic puppets in it seemed to have transcended an era. The home-use T9 magic puppet is the last product of this series, priced at 10,000 golden eagles. The last one? Ryan asked casually while eating his food. Yes, with the breakthrough of magic technology, artificial human puppets appeared. Ryan nodded, changed the topic and continued chatting with Hineo. Chapter 199. After Ryan finished his lunch, he walked to the potion refining room on the 2nd floor. The manor summoned this time was larger than the previous house, so it had its own potion refining room, so there was no need to dismantle the room. Andre and others were also looking at the luxurious lunch on the table in their room. After a moment of silence, they picked up their knives and forks and started eating. There is no shortage of these living materials in the magic family, but for these squibs, the family will only regard them as a shame. Since being sent to the Muggle world, the 4 little ones haven't had much good food. The only time when we can eat good food is Christmas and our birthdays. After lunch, the 3 people except Andre lay on the bed and fell into sleep. Andre held the quill and continued to write furiously on the parchment. Ryan was processing various herbs in the potion refining room. The last time the 3 brothers sent herbs, they sent a little more of all the commonly used herbs, so they can deal with them now. Cuckoo! Pace's cry startled Ryan out of his concentration on handling the potion. Ryan turned to look at Pace, who tilted his head and obediently took out a few letters from his anklet. It didn't dare ask Ryan for nuts because it saw that the crucible in front of Ryan was emitting green gas and exuding an indescribable smell. At this glance, he knew that the pot of potion was useless, and Pace was afraid that Ryan would pursue it, so after delivering the letter to Ryan, he flew to the front garden to rest. Ryan didn't pay attention to this. In his opinion, it was just a pot of medicinal materials that was spoiled. There were several letters, one from Hermione, one from Pudding, one from the 3 brothers, and one from Brick Caro. The first 3 letters were okay, but the last person named Brick Carlo took a long time to remember. Before Christmas, Lockhart was going to hold a dueling club and Brick and Cosby were going to learn magic from Ryan. But then Ryan got a little busy, so he left it alone. But what is the purpose of sending a letter this time? Ryan touched his chin, opened Hermione's letter, and read it. In the letter, Hermione first said that she went to Diagon Alley yesterday to buy books, and then saw Black's wanted posters posted all over the leaky cauldron. Secondly, Hermione was a little worried about Ryan running around alone now, and wanted to get Ryan to end his suspension and return to Hogwarts. In the end, Hermione expressed her great love for the ice blue fox that Ryan gave her. By the way, she also mentioned in the letter that the little fox was now named Eves. After reading the letter, Ryan suddenly remembered something. In the 3rd grade, the little wizards encountered a Dementor attack on the train. Although there were no casualties, the feeling of being sucked out of happiness and the fear caused by the Dementors was not a good thing. So I have to write a letter to Professor Dumbledore about this matter. Reen thought for a while and murmured. Yes, Ryan had no intention of catching Peter Pettigrew himself, but gave this honor to Dumbledore. First of all, Dumbledore was impeached and resigned last year. Although he has now returned to the position of principal, many people still say that Dumbledore is old and no longer suitable for the position of principal. Now that Ryan has given this credit to Dumbledore, he believes that Dumbledore will give him a good reward. Moreover, Sirius was once a member of the Order of the Phoenix, and Ryan believed that Dumbledore would definitely handle this matter. When Ryan thought of this, he was afraid that he would forget, so he immediately picked up a pen and paper and started writing a letter. While writing, I did not forget to order, now, clean up this crucible in front of me. Hineo moved very quickly. In just 10 seconds, Ryan could no longer smell any strange smell. This is the air purification system that comes with the potion refining room. However, the brain is not allowed to activate the system without the owner's command, because some potions use taste to judge the timing of adding materials. Ryan finished the letter quickly and then set it aside to let the ink dry. Then he opened the next letter. This letter was sent by Pudding, and the letter was filled with a page full of all kinds of complimentary words. Finally, Pudding implicitly expressed these medicinal materials, which were slightly grown in most plantations, especially Starburst. This surprised Ryan, but it was no wonder that Pudding had been managing the plantation since it was acquired. The only time Ryan went to the plantation was because the 3 brothers wanted to rob the plantation, and Ryan went to take the stand. After thinking about it, Ryan began to reply. He planned to let Pudding expand the planting range of Starburst. It was the main medicine, and the planting environment was a bit harsh, so it was impossible to plant it in large quantities. Ryan also understood that there was actually no benefit to holding something like the Magic Awakening Potion in his hand. The right way to do it was to exchange it for resources. Once enough potions are taken out, Ryan believes that someone will be able to reverse the formula. So there's no point in holding on to the formula. He can just jam someone else's neck with the medicinal ingredients. The letter from the 3 brothers reported to Ryan the recent developments of the Corey family. This family is now getting closer and closer to the Dark Wizard, and their actions are becoming more ruthless, causing death at every turn. However, due to the growing strength of the Corey family, the other families now dare not speak out. The Ministry of Magic, under the leadership of Fudge, became a group of sheep, turning a blind eye to the Corey family's small actions, and at most verbally condemned them. The reason for the 28 holy families is that the Corey family has not shown any desire to attack them for the time being, and the 28 families are restraining each other, so no one is taking action now. Looking at the moving photo in his hand, Ryan calculated that it would take almost half a year for the Corey family to completely transform into a monster that only knows how to kill. Ryan did not reply, but picked up the last letter and read it. Brick Carlo. After opening the letter, Ryan held the piece of paper that looked like it was worth a lot, and kept scanning every beautifully written word on the paper. Whispering sound. After reading it, Ryan threw the letter and envelope into the trash can. Mr. Brick wanted to recruit Ryan, and the price he offered was a position in the Carlo family. Although Ryan didn't know how many galleons the Carlo family paid each year, Ryan knew that Brick might be eyeing the plantation in his hands. I thought you wouldn't take action. Ryan murmured that he knew this day would come when he accepted the plantation, but he didn't expect this day to come so late. Perhaps before, Ryan would be afraid that he would be unable to defeat 4 people with 2 fists, but now the 3 brothers have formed a fighting force, and Dumbledore will also owe him a favor. The favor to Snape has not yet been repaid. Chapter 200. Ryan thought and began to call Pace to come over and deliver the letter. Cuckoo. Pays was a little unhappy. He came and went twice today. And according to its estimation, he will need to fly several more times. Sitting at the table, Ryan heard the sound of wings flapping and raised his head to look at Pays. Sorry to bother you. Ryan nodded Pays' little head, then put the letter into Pays's anklet, and put 2 galleons for Pays at the same time. Owls can take money to exchange for food rations at the Ulala Owl shop, and most of their money comes from rewards from their owners and rewards from others. Pays rubbed Ryan's palm happily. 2 galleons was a lot, and even the highest quality ration could last several meals. Goo goo. Pays called twice and then prepared to deliver the message. Etc. Ryan suddenly spoke up. It suddenly occurred to him that Andre didn't have a wand yet. Magic wands are widely circulated in the wizarding world, and it's not without reason. It can help little wizards better control the magic in their bodies, and also allow little wizards to release magic better and more smoothly. It's not that you can't cast spells without a wand, but it will be very difficult and strenuous. You give this note to Richie, he knows what to do, and the other note to Pudding. Ryan wrote 2 more notes and put them in Pays's anklet. After seeing that Ryan did not give any orders, Pays once again spread his wings and flew away. The first note asked the 3 brothers to help search for some wands in Nocturne Alley or other black markets. This is perfectly normal. Everyone buys their first wand from Ollivander's wand store. But in order to monitor the little wizard, there will be a trace wire inside each wand. After reaching adulthood, the Ministry of Magic will no longer care about it, but the traces have not been removed. In other words, the Ministry of Magic can still monitor your wand if they wish. And there is such a thing as a flashback spell. So at this time, a completely unknown wand that suits you is extremely important. Where there is demand, there is business opportunity, and there are many shops selling wands on the black market. Ryan can guarantee that Ollivander must have his own shop in Nocturne Alley. You can't make any money on those wands that little wizards buy every year. The subsidies from the Ministry of Magic can at best keep you from losing money. But making money is impossible. Generally speaking, wizards have 2 choices if they want to buy a second wand. One is to go shopping in person, but this will leave hidden dangers. The second is to purchase in bulk and then come back and slowly select by yourself. Magic Family generally uses the second method, and the wholesale price is cheaper. The second note asked Pudding to go back to his cabin in the woods and get the wand left by the original Death Eater. There were originally 3, but Ryan took one away and broke one, and now there is still one left. Keeping this last wand is a waste, so why not use it to make a contribution? After extracting herbal juice upstairs for a while, Ryan came to the first floor. At this time Andre and others had woken up and were sitting in the living room chatting. Seeing Ryan coming down, they all stood up, feeling a little uneasy. Speaking of which, this is still Ryan's house, and they are now Ryan's servants. The servant was sitting on the sofa in the master's house, talking and laughing. If he had encountered a strict master, he would have scolded him long ago. But Ryan didn't care. He gave them the slave mark just to control them better. As for small things like sitting on the sofa, Ryan didn't care at all. Owner. Luna lowered her head and said in a mosquito-like voice. Master, I have written down my thoughts on taking the potion. Please read it. With that said, Andre handed over a roll of parchment with both hands. After Ryan took it, he took a step back and stood there obediently, like a student handing in homework to the teacher. Ryan pinched the thickness of the parchment. It was very thick, estimated to be 40 or 50 centimeters long. When you expand it, you can see that the words Andre wrote are still very small and the line spacing is also small. Calculating it this way, this guy really wrote more than 10,000? Okay, let me take a look at this first impression, and you can move freely first. By the way, Andre, you need a blood sample, don't forget it. Ryan began to read the reflections written by Andre, and then took out 2 vacuum tubes from his pocket and handed them to Andre. Andre didn't hesitate. He directly inserted the needle into the vein and gave 2 tubes of blood to Ryan. Okay, you go ahead. Ryan put away Andre's blood sample, then knocked on the table, and the small pinprick on Andre's arm completely disappeared. Andre was very jealous when he saw this, wishing he could do the same. If you don't want to relax, you can also call the brain in the house. It has basic magic knowledge. You can take a look at it first. Even if it is useless now, you can prepare for the future. To prepare for the future, these words completely focused the hearts of Anrona, Fini, and Oro. The 3 nodded excitedly and returned to the room. At the same time, they secretly made up their minds to study hard. Andrei watched his younger brother and sister walk into his room with enthusiastic expressions. He waited aside for a while. After seeing that Ryan had no other instructions, he also walked into his room. He already has magic power, and he no longer wants to be a useless person like before, and then be discarded like garbage. And Ryan was sitting on the sofa, looking at Andrei's thoughts and feeling a little headache. It's not that Andrei's writing is not detailed. On the contrary, Andrei's writing is too detailed. It was so detailed that he wrote it in seconds, what he would think in the next second, what he would feel in the next second. God knows how he kept track of time after taking the potion. After reading the entire article, Ryan was silent. The effect of the magic awakening potion was so smooth. After Andrei took the potion, he felt a heat rushing through his body. At the same time, he felt very, very hot and unbearable. Then, your body starts to feel very bloated, as if you are still stuffing things into your mouth after eating 3 large bowls of rice. The swelling and pain made Andrei a little scared. However, after a severe pain, all these feelings disappeared, and what followed was an extremely comfortable and warm feeling. The hot flow should be the magic power. The swelling and pain should be the magic power reaching its peak in the meridians. The severe pain should be the magic power overflowing from the meridians. As for the feeling of comfort afterwards, it should be the magic power transforming the body. Reen murmured, and then began to think carefully. It doesn't seem like there's anything that can be changed. To be honest, the side effects of the magic awakening potion are terrifyingly low. Seeing Andrei scream so miserably before, Ryan thought it was severe pain. But if it hurts, you can still get through it if you endure it.